We're back. We're back, baby. We are back. Welcome back to Cardboard Hands, another episode with my co-host, Mr. Sealed Investor over there, Retrospecs, and I am the Old Boom Shop, your scalper adjacent host here in the house of cards that we are living in today. But how are you doing today, Nick? How's it going, man?
Scalper adjacent is hilarious, but going good. A little bit tired, but we march on. Show must go on.
What are you tired from, if you don't mind me asking? What, you just like shipping out a million card orders, and your little hands are just bloody to the bone because you've been licking too many envelopes for those PWEs, or what's going on?
Yeah, I mean it's been pretty crazy. I had a bunch of stuff I was hoping to get done Friday, but because let's just say we have to do like a final project for one of my classes at school, and my team did like half my team did like not have their shit together or have it done, so I ended up having to do like more work on Friday that was supposed to be done on Wednesday because I was basically wiping everyone's ass. So wasn't super stoked about that. And then I had to like obviously like come get you and hang out and have fun, so I was trying to get a bunch of stuff done before that, so I kind of had
What
to
we
push
were
a lot
doing
of
is
that.
business, sir. I don't know what you're talking about. There was no fun to be had. It was a business trip for me, just so you know.
Oh, gotcha. Right, yeah. But so all business, but yeah. And then the card show, like card shows, always wipe me out. And so Monday, I was just like, yeah, I'm cooked. I skipped school Monday. It's the only time I've ever skipped class this entire quarter. But I was just like, yeah, it's we weren't going to be covering anything in person in class that was like really pertinent or anything like that. So I just said, screw it. I'm already like really over it. Like I want to still get out with good grades, but I'm just like, dog, what a fucking waste of time. Like I'm so just, ay.
Those
Yeah.
$20 Evolving Skies packs got you feeling bullish, haven't they?
Yeah, it's just like so many opportunity. I mean, and then obviously like being out to dinner over the weekend with Zach and Charlie and all them. It's just like, man, there's so much opportunity, and I'm just like wasting my time. And I'm just, yeah, not to start off being a
Not
negative
wasting your
Nancy,
time,
but
but I get what you're saying.
yeah. It's just like, man, it's like I can't wait until I'm done. So two or 3 weeks, and I'll be done, and I can just kind of focus on what I want to focus on. I've been meaning to do content more and stuff too, and haven't really been able to keep up with that. So yeah, I'm just burnt, to be honest. Like I'm super burnt. Like I'm ready for it to be over with so I can just kind of focus on what I need to focus on and not really like, prioritize things I don't care about. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Don't worry too much about like missing anything in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think we can be fairly confident, both you and I, that the boom's not going anywhere in the next, I don't know, 3 to 6 months, even at this point, what it looks like. The fact that I'm so confident in saying that really worries me, to be honest, about the boom, that everyone's pretty confident about that. Like, I really want to hear a real take on why in 3 months from now this is all going to zero, or how it could potentially be a bad situation in the next few months. So that amount of bullishness makes me a little bit uncomfortable because I've seen that amount of bullishness just get deflated before. Shining Fates is one of those examples. Champion's Path, I just think it seems a little bit different this time. So I'm feeling, I don't know. I don't think I would worry too much if I were you. But
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
not
I
worried
feel
at
you though,
all.
being
Like
worn
I'm not.
out.
That's
Traveling for me is
like,
always hard too. So I'm right there with you. I'm still beat. Like, what is it, Wednesday? And it's still like I feel like I just got home.
yeah. No, I'm not worried at all. If anything, the complete opposite. Like I went back and watched one of my videos from like 7 months ago, like one of the first vlog videos I made or whatever. And I was saying back then, like, man, the market is so hot, everything's ripping, everything's liquid back then. And I was like way before anybody was talking about like the boom. Like the market's been good for 3 years. So like, yeah, now you've got YouTubers getting more views, and you get like, cards seeing crazy gaps up in price or whatever, but like nothing is different than it was like 9 months ago. Like things are still selling very quickly, things are liquid, good cards are liquid, dog shit is not liquid, and prices on good stuff go up. It just like it is what it is. Like this is not like this all of a sudden out of nowhere like Pokemon. Like it was different. I mean, I wasn't in pre-pandemic, but from everything I kind of see, and obviously like I caught the tail end of it and got to see like what was happening with price movement and stuff like that on the way up. And like it was just a completely different dynamic, right? Like people are always like, oh yeah, like Pokemon was growing, and like yeah, sure it was growing, but then it like jumped up out of nowhere, like it gapped up out of nowhere. Like this isn't really like a gap up out of nowhere. This is just like Pokemon has been crushing it. They continue to crush it, and they've been feeding us sets that are like whatever, and people are still excited about it. And then they finally come out with sets that have Pikachu and legendary Pokemon in them, and people lose their mind. Like that to me is pretty standard. That's not like, oh, whoa, we never could have predicted that. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like the market's hot when the Pikachu set drops. Like this is not new information. So it's, yeah, man, like this is not going anywhere. And just like, I don't know, like when you start doing, I mean, it's one thing like when you sell on eBay, but like when you start, like now that I'm selling boxes to businesses and selling 10,000 singles at a time to businesses, like these guys are not going to zero. Some dude that's ordering 30,000 cards a month is not going to zero. Like that's just not happening. This is not a like, let's put money on black and see what happens situation. This is like, I'm selling this many cards a month. It's not stopping. I need these cards. That's not disappearing. You know what I'm saying? And good sets keep coming out, shows coming out, games are coming out. There's the Z to A thing to look forward to. There's the team. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think anybody is making an argument. I mean, I don't watch a lot of Pokemon YouTube, so I could be totally wrong, but I don't think anybody's making an argument that we're headed to zero. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because like, it doesn't always have to be like one or the other. It's not binary. Like it doesn't have to be a 1 or a 0. Like things could correct or chill out a little bit without everybody like losing their shirt too. You know what I mean? Like that's a possibility. So, and that's kind of what happened, honestly. Like a lot of people lost their shirt on like expensive vintage cards. And like we said, like we pointed out the Shining Fates and stuff like that. Like there were certain sets that people got cooked on for sure. But people did not, like the same people that are here now were here before the boom and after the boom, especially business wise. Maybe not all the same people you see like commenting on YouTube. Like I remember watching like Jake's live streams way back in the day, and there were names that would like always be in Jake's live stream that like I haven't seen those people in years, right? So the consumer base might be cyclical, but like all the same people I'm watching and talking to and listening to now are the same people I was talking to 3 years ago. And I don't see that. Like, what is going to make that stop? Like, it's not even a bullish take or like nothing can ever go down. It's just like, what is honestly going to make that stop? It's like a trend like pizza. Are people all of a sudden going to get bored of pizza and stop eating pizza? No, like pizza might have its slow times. Like right now, bubble tea is the hot thing in Washington, at least. So maybe pizza sales are down because people are really into bubble tea. But people are never going to stop eating pizza, dude. They're never stopping eating pizza. So I don't even know what I'm talking about. Like I'm kind of cooked right now. Like I just got home from school. So sorry for the long rant, but that's just kind of where I'm at with it. And like every minute that I sit in school, I'm just, yeah, anyways.
Well, I think you summed it up pretty well. I tend to agree with all that take. I also don't know what could possibly cause the next few months to kind of go the other direction, but it could definitely be anything. I'm pretty excited, though, and let's just say hi to some of the people in the chat here, though, and give them a little taste of what we're going to be talking about today. If you are just tuning in, welcome. We are live. Welcome, Kai. Good to see you, Fat Belly. Hey, Chex Collects. Hey, Terry. We appreciate you. Giovanni's Pikachu. Good to see you. Sean as well. Basic Trainer. Good to see all you guys. But yeah, today what we're going to be talking about is a few different things, but we have a couple. We have a recap from the Front Row Card Show just to talk about the last show we were at. We'll probably throw that in sometime. We want to talk a little bit more in depth about the boom now that it is happening and what to specifically do. Maybe what not to do, a couple things like that. I feel like we talked about that a couple times in the last few podcasts, but so maybe we'll do that towards the middle. Prismatic Evolutions just got a kind of like allocations got dropped for people. So it'll be interesting to talk about that a little bit. Maybe also talk about some of the scams we've been seeing running in the hobby, and then we'll open up some viewer Q&A. So if you guys have any questions you want us to like answer or talk about, drop them in the chat. Maybe we'll like pin them if we see a good one, and we'll answer it later on. So that can kind of go throughout the whole live. So.
Real quick, I just checked Google Trends. I just typed in the word pizza, and on the 5-year chart, it is on a slow, very, very slight downtick. So I don't know if that's because of Ozempic and people are eating healthier, or if like people are just bearish on pizza. I don't know what is. It's nothing to be alarmed about, but I could be wrong about pizza. Pizza might be headed out of fashion.
Maybe it is something to be alarmed about. I don't know. I thought you were going with the pizza thing, but
if pizza becomes like not like, I'll be very alarmed. That's not. No, that can't happen though. That can't happen. Pizza's too famous, bro. Like you can't kill pizza.
I feel like it's like people are more about like tacos than pizza these days. Whereas like back in like the 90s, there's more of like a pizza fix. The pizza's like, oh, let's go get some pizza, bro. Now it's like, let's go get some tacos, dude. Like it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like the tacos are the new pizza sort of thing. I would say like the taco thing is going up, and then pizza's kind of probably trending down. Maybe I'm wrong about that though.
Is bubble tea popping in California? Because like for whatever reason in Washington, that is like the thing right now. People are just like, oh my god, bubble tea, like there's boba everything. Like you go to your kids like parent teacher conference and there's like a boba truck or something. Like I swear to God, you know what I mean? Like it makes sense.
Has boba now. That's how you know it's hot.
That's
like,
gross, dog. I don't think I would.
The birria, Jack in the Box started doing birria. You know, it was all about. They were like really a time.
Jack in the Box had hell no.
Yeah, it was weird. They do anything that's like trending, they'll kind of make their version of it. That's how you know it's really. Oh, when sriracha was, you remember that time in the U.S. where sriracha was everything's flavored sriracha? It was like a craze.
For sure.
It was like they just discovered sriracha, and I'm saying it wrong. I understand. I'm going to be triggering people the way I say it, but.
I like that too.
Jack in the Box did that too. That's how I knew that sriracha had gone. They jumped the shark. Is like they're on the Jack in the Box menu. I guess Jack in the Box is a California thing though, so I guess maybe the rest of the US.
We got Jack in the Box out here, but I guess what you're saying is Jack in the Box is a snack trend top signal.
Definitely, when you start seeing it at Jack in the Box, that's when it's going to be on a downward trend because you don't see that anymore. Like. They're always kind of late to it. So boba, maybe now that we see it at Jack in the Box, boba is not going to be as big.
All right. Well, let's. All right. What we're getting into first, the Prismatic. I don't know anything.
Yeah. So I still haven't yet gotten my personal allocations on Prismatic because we're going to still see how much I get because of my relationship with my distributor. It's a little rocky at best right now. But I've heard from other friends of mine who do have distributors who are getting allocations is most of them are saying that not only are they not going to be taking any pre-orders, but it's going to be very difficult for them to fulfill their pre-orders and have any extra product left over. So the pre-orders it did do. So I'm very interested to see what this messy situation is going to look like because I know a lot of stores, especially big stores who are used to getting a lot of product, put up product for pre-sale because it was so high with just the confidence that they were going to get that fulfilled by their distribution because every other set had. And it seems to be even the biggest guys out there, not to say any names or anything, but also they're getting cut and they're getting the whole like the robotic email from distribution saying, because of the extreme demand for this set, we are now going to be giving every single person the same allocation and moving forward, deciding on an individual basis how it will get, allocated. So people are getting very, very worried about those allocations. Not only that, I've also seen the return of those mile-long GameStop receipts. You remember the last time this boom happened when people were going to pre-order Champions Path and Shining Fates and all that stuff from GameStop because they weren't able to get it from the distributors. Game stores were canceling their orders. Nobody could get their orders because, game stores were the evil scalpers supreme and they just cared about money and not the community, blah, 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 blah. So you go to your local game store and you pre-order, you put all your money down and you buy it up front from GameStop and you get your receipt and you take a picture of it and you put it on Instagram so everyone knows you're an investor and that you're really, really serious. So I've seen this happen again with Prismatic Evolutions, and I'm wondering, is this going to be the same exact situation? You know what happened in every single case when those people did that in both Shining Fates and Champions Path? You know what happened?
Well, I remember, I don't know, I'm guessing this is where you're leading, but I remember they did that with the Celebrations UPCs. They were like
Oh,
hella
those two,
limited.
yeah.
They were hella limited at GameStop, and then the GameStop employees were just buying them for themselves, and like not people weren't able to get them or something like that. Is that where you're leading the audience?
Nobody got them. Yeah, that's the whole thing. You can pre-order all you want from GameStop. If it's that crazy and that limited, you're just not going to get it. You're going to get refunded, or they're going to tie up your money for a certain amount of time. Most people don't put their entire money down. You can put like $5 down to pre-order it, I think is what you do at GameStop, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just funny. It's a cyclical thing. I've seen it all. You've seen it once. You've seen it all. I just think it's one of those things. It's a huge signal of like where we're headed. I think this set is going to be Prismatic Evolutions. What I'm talking about is going to be heavily printed, and I think it's going to be extremely accessible. I've seen so many pre-orders get dropped on like different websites, Target, Walmart. I have like trackers and stuff to track the restocks just to keep. I want to keep an eye on them, and they hit so often, and they get sold out so often. So like so many people are going to have this set that like people don't need to be worried and be falling for this FOMO and pre-ordering cases for I don't know $1,000 of ETBs. I think I saw. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I still need to make a video about it. Again, more so the Japanese side, but like I tend to agree with you. Let's just like look at history. Like Crown Zenith, people were super stoked on, and that's very available over a year later, or I guess a year later, around a year later. I don't know. I can't remember when it was released, but no, it's almost 2 years old now, isn't it? Crown Zenith, because we've been doing Scarlet and Violet for.
Yeah,
It was like
getting there.
last
It's
January,
close
right?
to it.
Yeah, so like that's almost 2 years old. Good set, really good set, and still
Every
really
time
available.
Crown Zenith comes up, we're always just like, good set, solid set.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
nobody cares.
I mean, I made a funny thing. Josh was showing me like what was available to buy to like break down packs or whatever, and I signed up for a like premium Sam's Club account or whatever. Come to find out, they don't have any Sam's Club locations physically in Washington. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll just buy stuff online. And then I got on like phone with customer service, and they were like, oh, well, we only accept resellers permits. Like you have to go in person to a desk. And I was like, what? Like that's the dumbest. Like that is like I've ordered from people like Forge and Fire Gaming and like small like online only retailers, and have just uploaded them PDFs. But a big company like Sam's Club, you have to go in. Dumbest shit I've ever heard. Anyways, so one of these days, if I'm out at a Collecticon or something like that, I'm gonna have to bring my reseller's permit with me and like go into a Sam's Club or something like that. But anyways, long story short, the Crown Zenith was sold out. Kind of a bummer because it was like up there, and I was like, ooh, okay, like max out, add 25 to cart or whatever. No, it was all sold out. So that's basically all. It's basically all I got right now is Evolving Skies and 151. I'd like to have Crown Zenith though. I just like I don't have access, I guess, to like get the packs for cheap or anything like that. So hopefully I will get use out of my Sam's Club membership, but as of right now, it's not looking too good.
Oh, you just wait, baby. Sam's Club and Costco be putting out lower than distribution prices deals around this time of year every time around the holidays. So you just keep your eye out, baby. You'll get something good. I promise. Maybe not Sam's Club, but Costco. But Sam's Club's usually about the same as Costco. They have their own exclusive boxes. Like those, if you remember last year, those big Tyranitar heavy hitter boxes, they were like $20. And I think they had like 12 packs in them or something. It was ridiculous. They were gigantic. And now, I mean, it's just, they're all Sword and Shield era. Those things were crazy. So that was a Sam's Club thing. I did see that Costco just put out those big black classic collection boxes. The ones that Sam's Club had for 200, Costco is selling for like 225 right now. So they are out there for people looking for deals. I feel like this time of year, even though the stuff goes up in price a lot this time of year, like the really good stuff that's really hard to find, you can find really good cheap stuff too. Like things go on sale, heavily discounted. The stuff that maybe is not like the hottest, like maybe not a booster box of Surging Sparks or a Prismatic Evolutions PC ETB, but you're gonna be able to get like Crown Zenith stuff or the end of Sword and Shield era packs all put into like collection boxes and then dumped back onto the market by these big retailers. All these Black Friday deals are going to start popping up. I just saw $20 Sword and Shield ETBs were put on the shelves at Targets. That's one of Target's deals this year. Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Lost Origin, all those good sets for $20 an ETB, $19.99. So definitely check that out and make sure you take advantage of that. If you're sitting here frustrated that you can't get Surging Sparks for like $100 a box, you can get stuff that was like even better than that, in my opinion, for cheaper than it ever was too. You just kind of got to look the other direction in these times. Sometimes you got to look around.
Yeah, I got to do a little more research just because I'm not, like as up to date on English stuff. I mean, obviously it's nice to have packs. That's part of the reason like I like doing those big pack buys, because like everybody we know is a streamer now. So outlets are pretty much like infinite, and I don't know, like I probably could be buying booster boxes too, but I don't have distribution, and I haven't really like gone out of my way to like hit anybody up to be like, hey, like if I start, buying stuff every set. But I do want English for the website, so I'm working on getting distribution kind of like preemptively. But like when we were at the show, for instance, that guy came up. I think it was the same guy that sold me the Evolving Skies, but he was like, "Oh, I've got a bunch of Fusion Strike, and I think he's like $5 a pack." And I was like, "Oh, whoa, that seems really cheap because the boxes are like $250." And you were like, "Yeah, the boxes are expensive, but the packs are cheap because there's just a lot of that product out there, so the packs are like pretty available." Whereas like with Evolving Skies, it's being ripped so crazy, and people have optimized all those like peripheral products that the packs come in, that the packs are really expensive now. And so like I don't really know that kind of stuff because I don't keep up on that kind of stuff. But as long as I can buy stuff at like 70 or 80% of market, I'm cool to buy it and like instantly kind of clip a percentage, or like sit on it, wait for it to appreciate a little bit, and then just like kind of sell a bunch at once, or take them to shows, and sell them like we were doing this last weekend. That works too. But I just I think it's a good thing to have like 500 to 1,000 like modern packs of like the best sets, I guess, available at all times. Like not necessarily like I'm not trying to buy like Paradox Rift packs at 70% of market. But like Evolving Skies and 151 and Crowns and stuff like streamer packs, basically like stuff that people like always want to rip for fun. Like having that stuff in stock all the time, I think is just, like a pretty good thing, and probably something I'll be doing moving forward. So
Yeah, it's just really one of those things. Like you said, it's good to have at shows. If you don't have booster packs, it's maybe not something that you're going to make the most percentage gain off of. And if you're only selling that, you can really get boned, because if someone has it for cheaper than you or is undercutting you, you won't sell anything. If you're in a bad location, you won't sell. So they're kind of like hard to rely on. But if you don't have packs, you're leaving such an opportunity on the table for the hobby. Like, to just enjoy the hobby for people. It's such like an entry point for many people to just grab a pack of something they like, open it up right there at the show, try to have fun with their friends or their family or whoever they're there with, maybe just you, the dealer. They want to open it in front of you. And having that is really, you have to have, it's like, I don't know, it'd be like a skateboard shop not carrying skateboards or something, you know what I mean? Carrying everything else but the skateboards. It's like, why don't you just put some skateboards in there too? Like, you have everything else, you might as well have the most important thing. It's probably not a great analogy, but like if you're selling Pokemon, I feel like you kind of need to have maybe not all the packs, but like packs that represent what you like or what you think people will like. I don't know, something that you can offer in that regard is really helpful. I don't think you have to, but it's really, really helpful, I would say.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, like I've never understood why people like carry more than they need to, like just to kind of have it. You know what I mean? Like yeah, I don't understand like why people. It's not to say like I understand with like the investing or whatever people say stuff like don't set pick, kind of like don't stock pick type deal to where like there's always a set that no one would have guessed that kind of like shoots up out of nowhere. So if you buy like a little bit of everything, maybe you'll do better kind of deal. But um, I don't necessarily think that that applies for like what you're actually selling. I think it's pretty obvious, and like there's plenty of data out there between eBay and TCG Player that'll show you what is selling. So you don't need to like go broke and have some of 10 different sets, 20 different sets. Like you can have 3 sets, 5 sets. Like 5 sets even is like a lot, and just like sell this stuff that sells. You know what I mean? And like you don't necessarily have to tie your money up in everything. You're trying to invest or whatever, like that's a whole different game. But if you're just trying to have product to flip, like you don't need to have like the less is more, in my opinion. So I don't know. That might not be true for everybody, but that's just kind of how I feel. And then back to the prismatic thing or whatever, and just like availability and stuff like that. I mean, the one thing like it doesn't come out until January, correct? So like English doesn't have anything coming out for the holidays. Is that correct? Like there's no
Actually,
set.
I think it comes out December, if I'm not mistaken. It might be January, but I think it might be December. I'm not sure.
Look, what's it called? Prismatic Evolution.
Prismatic Evolutions.
Because if it's like Shiny Treasure, oh yeah, January 17th, 2000. Or well, it says the poster collection comes out. Yeah. Yeah, January 17th.
And just like Crown Zenith, the exact same situation. It's going to have a staggered release over many months with many different products being released at different times. They're not all getting released right at the beginning and dumped on onto the market. So it's going to have like more time to flush out onto the market naturally and really distribute itself and not be over printed. So like people who are pre-ordering this stuff for 100 plus, I mean, please just don't. Just like reconsider.
Yeah, I don't think you're. Yeah, I mean, like Shining Fates was a different situation. Like, I don't think that that was kind of the beginning of the year specialty set, and I think that's kind of why it like ran up or whatever. But with this one, if they're not printing anything over the like holiday season or whatever until January, and a lot of this stuff like the Lost Origin ETBs at Target for $20, like that's probably not a reprint. That's probably stuff that Pokemon's been sitting on, or MJ Holdings, or whoever the hell supplies Target, and they're just like pushing it out basically. And if that's the case, like they're probably going to be printing a good amount of terrestrial or whatever, or not terrestrial. That's what it's called in Japanese. Prismatic evolutions. Like they're probably going to be printing a good amount of it, like during the holiday season to make it very available for people in January. And that's just like historically been the case. So I don't think anybody, I mean, if you really want to like rip it immediately on release because you just absolutely have to, or it's fun to you, or you don't really care about the difference between $50 and $100, yeah, go rip it, have fun. But I don't think that it's just like,
just buy it from your local
like
Target. Don't pay $100 for it. It's gonna be on the shelves everywhere.
Yeah, I think in some form, like maybe not like the key product you want for investment, like which is probably like Pokemon Center ETB, and then I would guess after that is probably regular ETB or booster bundle or however it works in English. But I think it's gonna be out there. It might, like I said, you might not be able to find an ETB, but you'll be able to find some like doo-doo, clamshell product with some stupid promo you don't care about, but it's got like 4 or 5 packs in it, right? Like that stuff's probably going to be available. I could be wrong, but I really do not think that it's just like, oh, if you don't buy it now, you're never going to get it. Like the market is so hot right now that Pokemon just can't keep up with it. It's just like, I don't believe that shit. I really don't. I mean, they scaled from 9.1 to 12 or 9.7 to 12 billion cards over the course of a year. They increased their printing by 30%. Like it's, you know what I mean? I don't subscribe to that. I could be wrong.
There are people who legitimately believe there won't be any more reprints of 151 after this Blooming Waters kind of situation hits in February. There are people saying that's it. After that, it's completely done. Like the hottest set they've ever made in the entire history of the game. When they reprinted Hidden Fates 3 years out, basically, and they kept dropping reprints for that. People really think when we still haven't gotten a massive 151 reprint, just like a bunch of restocks, that it's not possible, that after that it's done. Because, like you just said, Pokemon's so hot right now. They couldn't possibly keep up. Every new set has got to be reprinted. They just couldn't do it. So it's not going to happen. It's like, okay, guys, take a step back. Take it from someone who's been here before a couple of times now. They always, I'm not saying this like with he's being funny, he's saying this. No, they always reprint the best sets of all time. How many times do you have to hear this? Anyone who's defending 151 not getting reprinted. So enjoy it, like Retro said. If you need to pay the heightened prices because you have to have it now, fantastic. But you'll get many opportunities if your best friend in this hobby, and nobody wants to hear this because nobody ever wants to hear this, but your best friend in this hobby, and most likely in life, is just patience. Patience is a virtue. When things are going crazy and when things are booming and everyone's talking about how everything's going up in price and you better get it now because there's never going to be reprints, it's easy to fall victim to the FOMO. I understand. But I promise you, with patience, you'll get access to every single thing that everyone's FOMOing about for a better price and more of it. The price you'll have to pay is that nobody's going to care about it at that point. They're going to be moved on to the next thing. And you're going to be sitting here being like, well, what happened? Why do you guys not care about this anymore? You just 2 months ago, you were paying $100 ETB. Now you don't want it for $50 because the new rocket set's out. What is this? I promise you there will be people doing that. And then, so I love it when the boom happens, but I hate to see people getting frustrated because they can't get access to product. Just like, hold on, Timmy, hold on.
Well, it's hilarious because people are frustrated that they can't get access to product that isn't even out yet.
Right, and it's not even released, but they're making probably more of it than ever.
Yo, chill. It's like, okay, with the booster box thing or what, like the investment blue chip shit that people buy because it like does better. Like, they're probably not going to reprint the Pokemon Center 151 ETBs, right? Like, you're probably safe there. But like regular ETBs and all the other stuff that they distribute packs.
Well, here they do reprint. So it's not that they reprint the Pokemon Center ETBs, but historically, when they sell out, every single set that's sold out on the day of release gets re-released on the Pokemon Center. And so you get another chance to buy those the day of release at like 9 or 10 a.m. right when they release it. So anyone who's listening to this, if you didn't get a Pokemon Center ETB, that's fine. You have one more chance. Maybe you might have more than that.
But like 151 it's like out of here, right?
Oh, but
like
that's done. Yeah, they already did that after the release. So after the day of release, Pokemon Center releases, you're kind of SOL. Sometimes they'll restock, but not always. So sorry about that. I just want to clarify.
No, you're good. So yeah, I mean, like that kind of stuff, like you're probably safe on. That probably holds value, appreciates, blah blah blah. But like just random packs, like they make it available at least on specialty sets, on booster box, mainline sets, whatever you want to call them. Maybe not so much. Maybe they have issues there. Maybe Surging Sparks just gets kind of like trickled out into various products, and there's not like a massive booster box like reprint or whatever. But with all this other stuff, it's like, man, I don't have distribution, but outside of like distribution, the only other information that you can use to formulate an opinion here outside of just like having fun is what's happened historically. And what's happened historically is they make it available, like period. That's it. It doesn't matter how good the set is. It's available, right? Like look at what's happening with Paldean Fates. Paldean Fates is like affordable, but look, like the two main chase cards are like out of here and killing it. And they're like the top, I think they're two of them are in the top 5 cards that are sold and like bought and sold volume wise on TCG Player month over month. So those are like those are basically like 2 out of the top 5 cards in the hobby, volume and transaction wise right now, and that set's available. So this set is packed with like all the evolutions and all that crazy stuff. Those cards are going to be transacted a ton. People are going to be buying and selling those cards a ton. The PSA 10s are going to go for crazy prices. Yeah, absolutely. But the product is probably still going to be available. Like, that's just my personal opinion. If it's wrong, we'll see. And like, I'm totally willing, willing and to admit, like, if I am wrong and it ends up being wrong, because like I don't really know as much about like English dynamic. I'm just using history, and we've been saying like on this podcast for like a year and a half, yo man, like why is Crown Zenith doing nothing? Because they make it available, because it's a good set that people want, and that's just kind of like what it is, I guess. So
Yeah, it's definitely a trend. Like I feel like if you're here long enough, and it's hard to hear this if you are just new to the hobby because you have to experience it for yourself to really understand. But you'll hear people like us who've been around this a couple times say this all the time, that it's cyclical. These trends are very cyclical, and if you just wait around long enough, and if you watch, take a step back, and try to see what's happening, you can play the market to your advantage. And when these things are happening, you know when you want to sell and how to not get taken advantage of in the boom. So you're capitalizing on the boom, but you're not like buying at those boom prices and then like getting wrecked when it comes down. So like there are definitely good ways and bad ways to navigate through these sorts of situations. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess we had the topic. It's happening, what to do now, but I guess it's a good segue as we're talking about it now to put that up in the.
Oh, did we skip the card show recap? My bad. I kind of took it back.
We'll talk about it because it's just one of those
right.
things. This is going to be a fast and loose podcast, I think, because there's just so much happening on this in this hobby, and there's so much to talk about because we haven't even really talked about like some of the crazy scams that we've been seeing happening. That I have personal friends who have gotten scammed. I've gotten scammed recently in the last week. I know that you got scammed at the card show. I got scammed at the card show that I didn't talk about yet, but I'll talk about when we get there. So like it's happening both in person, online, everywhere. So like that's another sign that the boom is happening. So how are you interacting now that we're very confident? Are you doing something like you said earlier that maybe we talked about like plays with zero downside risk and more confident? You want to talk about like the prevalency of doing more, being more confident to make plays that have what you consider to be zero downside risk. So what do you mean by that?
My girlfriend's cat is wild. I have to let her out in a minute. But I mean, there's just a lot of those now. Like and it's not like a grading play or something like that, but there's like so many different opportunities to where like you can buy a product and break it down and like make your money back and some profit just on some of this stuff, and then you're left over with like promo cards. And like if any of the promo cards are gradable, you're up big. Even if they're not gradable, you can sell them and make profit. There are so many things out there now. There's literally zero downside. Like you cannot lose, absolutely cannot lose on. So like there's so many things, and a lot of that is like intangible stuff, like, oh, I'm buying it for a percent of market, but a lot of it isn't. Like a lot of it is like generally like those 151 things that we picked up. That's a zero downside risk play, literally zero downside risk. There's dudes on YouTube, Dan Ketchum All Collectibles out there. I buy at 80%. I promise you, if you go to Dan right now with 151 packs, he will pay you out 80%. So if you're buying these Costco things and getting these packs for $5 or $6 or whatever it is, selling them to Dan, making $1 a pack, you get promos for free. And if the promos are gradable, maybe you're making $60, maybe you're making $150. I don't know. Like English clamshell promos tend to get pretty expensive. So like zero downside. Like there's so much of that now. And that isn't always the case. Or in the past, it takes a lot longer. Like maybe there's zero downside. Like, you're going to get your money back by breaking it down, but it takes forever. Now, like with how much liquidity and like how, rip roaring things are, like it's instant turnover. Like there's so much of that. And so like, it just depends on like your risk tolerance and all that sort of stuff. Like if you're somebody, but to me, even if like you are somebody that's like, yeah, okay, I'm all right with taking a lot of risk, it's like, why would you leave free money on the table? You know what I mean? And like, I'm gonna get after Dan a little bit here. Like people will be like, well, Dan, why aren't you going to Costco? Why aren't you doing that? Dan's going to Walmart anyways. Dan's going to Costco. He's doing a little bit of cool guy syndrome by acting like he's too busy or too cool to go out there and buy tins. This man broke down pallets of MetaZoo. Remember that, to make maybe $13 an hour. Remember that. So when he's too cool to go get 151 packs from Costco, I could like it's not the case, right? Like there's plenty of money there. there's plenty of money there. And so that's just, I don't know. It's like, why would you leave that money on the table? Like, why not? Sure, you might end up in a rattle video. Someone's going to videotape you in Costco. Oh, look at this guy.
Listen, leave that rusty old bot alone, all right? Let him get some oil in those joints, and he'll get to running full speed again, all right? Just cut him some break. Even robots need time to rest.
I just got to troll him a little bit, but I'm just saying, like, it's good money, right? Like there's good packs, good promos. Like there's so much opportunity out there right now. It's just like, are you willing to put in the work? And some people are and some people aren't, and it just kind of is what it is. But I mean, if you're like out there kind of looking for a handout right now, or like looking for what to do, it's like, man, it's kind of rough. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't matter like what level you're at. You could have $10 and make money, right? I mean, you could always kind of do that in this hobby, and that's one of the things that's kind of cool about it, right? Is like, it's not. People say that there's like gatekeepers, but at the end of the day, like if you have $10 and you're smart, like you can figure something out, right? Like you can turn $10 into $12, into $15, into 20. Like it's possible at any level in this hobby, and right now it's more possible than ever just because of the sheer liquidity and hype and yeah, that's
yeah. So it's easy, I think, for people to get excited, and because of how crazy things are going, to not know what to do and have that sort of paralysis surrounding, like, oh, I don't know, there's so many things to buy, and you know, I don't know where to spend my allocate my limited funds. But I think really the best thing is just doing anything, literally, in this market, like we were just kind of alluding to. When it's booming, you can do whatever you want, and that you'll probably not be punished that bad, as long as you kind of just think a little bit about it and have fun with what you're doing, so that you at least enjoy it. So like, I would say that having trepidation about these markets is totally fine and natural, but like, don't have so much of it that it prevents you from enjoying it or it makes you anxious about it. So I think it's just fun to kind of talk about this this whole philosophy of what to do, because like I think that even myself, I operate differently. I probably wouldn't have bought as many singles or as many like random things at the last show if I didn't know how liquid things were going to be, because I would just be able to turn around. I bought at a higher percentage, knowing I get a smaller percentage profit margin, just knowing that it was that much more liquid though. So it's going to be quick turnarounds. So, and most everything I bought already sold. So it's like, ironically, those stupid Costco tins you were talking about, I've been buying them here locally. That's what I'm scalper adjacent. I also, the first time I saw them, I got them in my local Costco. I got a good, I really hit the jackpot. I think I got like 17 in my first stock that I hit. It was like, I was just at Costco at the right time, right place. And then I was on the hunt and I didn't find any after that. And it led me to reaching out to my local community, just being like, okay, I'm just going to pay more for these damn things and make a little bit less and pay someone else out to do the searching for me. And that's what I've been doing here. So like, I even in Washington, I bought, I think 12 to 13 more. No, that was on the first day, 13 on the first day. About 20 more of those things. And I sold all the packs while I was up there because I didn't have space. I had to sell them before. So like, I knew that if I bought them at a certain price, because I'd been doing it while I was at the show, I could sell them. And that was like a quick. And so, yeah, there's instant liquidity on a lot of things if you just know where to look. And, it's pretty funny. So by knowing where to look right now is your local Costco for some people. For other people, it's your local restock discords. If you have a Discord that offers like a restocking bot that tells you when like Target is getting their 151 or the Prismatic evolutions, like you don't have to have distribution. You don't have to have a ton of money to be able to flip things and make money eventually when these sets come out, just by ordering MSRP products. And it hasn't been it's been a long time since you could buy MSRP without a resale license to get that tax down and still make a percentage. Because like, sure, you might be able to do it on some items if you weren't paying tax and you're buying in bulk and getting a discount, like, but you do it on anything now without it. So it's a lot of money on the table for a lot of people, and I think that's what a lot of people think is fun about it.
Yeah, that's true. And like, kind of to your point, what's funny, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the comments or whatever that's like, oh, like think of the children and scalping and all that stuff. But it's funny, like you say, the whole scalper adjacent thing, like you aren't even the one buying them. You're buying them from somebody who's buying them. and you're still making money, and you're selling it to somebody who's probably buying it at 80%, and they're gonna make money. You know what I'm saying? Like that is like I don't know, man. Like that's
Those
kind of
boxes are so funny, man. And so just a little side note about those. Shout out to the Front Row Card Show. Shout out to Mr. Banks, the EX set. Remember that EX Deoxys set that came by with
this
Gold
guy came
Star?
through with a full complete set of English EX Deoxys. He had the gold stars, he had
Like
everything.
beautiful condition.
I
Like
hope he sold that. I hope he sold that for his 10K offer.
okay, but anyway, the show, those stupid boxes, man. Okay, so here's how it went. I went to this show not thinking I was gonna do anything with these 151. I brought what I wanted to sell as packs, like an ETB's worth. It's like 40 packs, enough to sell at the show. And I walked around, and these vendors were selling the boxes for $60. $60. And that's basically what I paid for them from scalpers here. And so I could not sell packs with those boxes being just right down the road for me. So what did I do? Of course, I bought every single one of them at that vendor's table. And then I had to walk around the rest of the show and buy the rest of them out. So that's why I ended up with like, I don't know, the 20 or so that I got. It's because I couldn't very well have them at the show for cheaper than what I would have been selling my packs for if you were to break it down. So here we are. I end up with like, I think 200 extra packs. I didn't want to bring those. I was packed to the brim with my carry-on. I would have had to pay like, I think $65 to check a bag to get extra space. And that very quickly does not work into what I wanted to do. And so I found another vendor and I dumped all the packs on the vendor on the last day and just like made a couple bucks, a dollar. I think it was $1 on each pack after all was said and done. And they were pretty happy to get it, I think, because they needed more 151. And he said he already bought a bunch though. So he's like, I bought so much, but I guess I could have more. I was like, hey, you buy what you want, but that's us liquid. That's what I mean. People are buying more than what they're comfortable with and selling it all and just be like, okay, well, it is very liquid. And it's kind of hilarious to see that firsthand. But there may or may not be some pictures of myself and a little kid breaking those boxes down. And people may or may not say there was child labor involved, but listen, a little kid that was at the booth that I bought those boxes from came over to me after I bought them all. He's like, "What are you gonna do with all those boxes? What'd you buy them all for?" He's like 10 years old or something. I was like, "I'm gonna sell them, kid." And he's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Do you need help breaking them down?" I was like, "Sure." So I let him sit back there, and he sat back there for like 20 minutes with me and broke down boxes. And yo, shout out to that kid. I told him at the next show I was going to bring him a couple like Charizards as a thank you because I gave him a Charizard out of my binder because he said that's what he collected. But he sat there for like 20 minutes and broke down packs and like helped me get those 10s out so that before the show, I got his inventory that his parents sold me broken down and ready to sell at the show before we even got started. So it's fun times, but good kid all around. We had some fun. I told him not to fall for the hype because I was like, hey, do you open a lot of packs or do you buy singles? And he said his parents don't let him open a lot of packs. They make him buy the singles. I was like, good. I told him that is exactly what I wanted to hear. I was like, you may not like it, but that's a good thing. I promise you'll do better with that. And so hopefully he wasn't upset to hear that too.
Yeah,
He's a funny kid.
100%. It's funny. You had a good experience with the kid. Dude, at the very end of the second day, I was so like just over it, ready to go home. Like, oh man, get me the hell out of here. And this kid was trying to hustle me, dog, and I was just
The
not
same
having.
kid or a different kid?
No, well, I don't know. I don't remember what kid was helping you, but like this other kid came up and was just trying to hustle me, and I was just like, I was not having it, man. And I had done my good deed for the day. I brought a bunch of world championship gear or whatever and gave it out for free to the kids. Gave the decks out for free. Gave some sleeves.
What does that mean? Done my good deed for the day. What is that?
I did my pro community, pro hobby, like, warm and fuzzy thing of the day. Like I have all that stuff sitting.
So we only have to do one a day, and that's how it works, and we're good.
No, but like I don't think I've ever given. Well, no, that's not true. I've given cards away for free before, but like I don't like make it a point to have like free stuff for kids at shows. And this time I like had a stack of stuff set aside that I was like, all right, like I'm, like world championship deck sleeve from the Pikachu deck or whatever. I'm like, all right, these look cool. I would rather a kid store their cards in a penny sleeve, but the world championship sleeves look cooler and it's better. A lot of kids just pull cards out of their pockets and they're cooked, like completely like unsleeved.
You got to teach these kids how to take care of their cards.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things you can do for the hobby. When these kids come up to the binders, their cooked cards, if they try to trade you them and you're just like, no, sorry, kid, tell them, be like, hey, I would take them if they were in better condition.
You gotta,
so, just give them a heads up. So be like, hey, I would have taken them if you put them in sleeves, and then tell them put them in these sleeves. That's the least you can do for these kids.
I don't know, man. Like this kid came up and he was like, oh yeah, how much for this box? And I was like, $50. And he's like, what about 45? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he goes, okay, I'll think about it. Like you just made me the offer, and now you're gonna. So he walks away, comes back, and he's like, yeah, man, all I have is $43. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Whatever, $2 difference, right? Like who cares? So I give him the box. He walks off. This other guy comes up that I had like talked to about like networking, like he owns a card shop in like Vancouver or something. So I was like, oh yeah, like let's, like gave him my wholesale pricing, was like, all right, yeah, let's talk. And he was like, hey, I'm going to come up to you at the end of the show and buy a bunch of stuff on like off of you in person first to like take it home with me. And I was like, yeah, cool. So he comes up, he buys the rest of the electric breaker boxes, but the kid is like standing right behind him. And I'm dealing with this guy and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll give you the boxes for this price or whatever. And the kid's like, what? I just paid this. And I was like, well, you were supposed to pay 45 and you just got it for 43. And then the kid's like, oh, well, can I get another box? I'm like, I thought you only had $43. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, my parents, they just gave me money for some work that I did. And I was like, oh, real convenient timing on that paycheck. Anyways, I ended up giving a kid, but I was just like, dog, it was at the end of the show. And I'm just like, you are not about to hustle me. Like you are old enough to know exactly what you're doing. I respect it. I respect the grind 100%. But dog, like you're not about to hustle a hustler. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it just
listen, kids these days, you cannot just see a kid and think that they're like this innocent little thing. These kids at these card shows are freaking sharks sometimes. Okay, some of them are innocent, some of them mean well, and some of them are just there to, collect. It's their first show. But some of them walk these shows and take advantage of any adult who doesn't know better because they think they're these innocent kids, and they get cooked. The adults get cooked from it. That is exactly why I don't do trade-up challenges, exactly why I don't really take trades from kids or anything. I'm just not going to do it because, like, first of all, most of the time kids aren't going to understand, like, they need to get their cards. They have to sell them at, like, 80% or 70% even. They want full market value or a one-to-one trade usually, and it just doesn't work like that at these shows. But yeah, it's hilarious. I love kids at these card shows, but I would not get cooked by them or even deal with them in a way that you think that, oh, it's this kid, like it's their first time. No, if they're hustling you like that, they know what they're doing, right?
They know exactly what they're doing. It's like it's just so much different. Like there's so much card money market content out there that kids are watching. Like,
yeah,
it's also an age thing too. Like if it was like a 4-year-old or a 6, it's like, dog, I'm not. But if this kid's like probably like 13, 14. Yeah, it's like 13, 14. It's like, dude, you know what you're doing. Like, come on. Like
those little teenagers, they hustled, bro. I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen it. Winnie so shout out to Winona. They were at the show with us and they're in the Discord. Local seller. So check them out. But they said that they got cooked by trading in because they had so many people trading stuff in. They comped things at near mint and got a little bit cooked when they had like dings. I swear to you, the same thing happened to me, but it was all from one person. Do you remember, Nick, that old guy who came back to me and sold me the Evolving Skies packs, and then he sold me more singles 2 to 3 times? The first time he sold me the singles, I looked at them quickly, and they looked fine. So I bought them all at basically near mint price because it looked near mint, but they were in like a sleeve, a top loader, and like team bags, some of them. So I took a couple out, and then the others I just kind of assumed were similar condition. He came back and sold me more. And out of my stack of like 9 cards I got from him, they're like all like $30 to $50 cards. Nothing crazy, but like trainer galleries and alternate art, some Sword and Shield. Like 5 of them had binder dings, and the rest had like huge, like clearly like they were like Mrs. I was like, you SOB. And he was like the friendliest old dude. He was like so smiley, so friendly, so nonchalant, and like came back with my buddy. And that's how I should have known, like, who are you, dude? Who the hell are you? Why are you so friendly? I don't know you. Just because you're some old dude with white hair and you're like really friendly, you're not Santa Claus, bro. Like, get out of here.
You're not Santa Claus. Is so stupid. Let me let out my girlfriend's cat really quick. She's wilding out, but it looks like we got some stuff in the chat. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So while Nick is going and letting his animals do whatever they gotta do, his crazy animals, why don't you guys drop some questions in the chat, and I'll put a couple things up here. Let's see. Let me scroll back. I haven't been keeping up as well with the chat, so I apologize if I missed anyone.
All right, I'm back. Kids and now Gramps, brutal out here, boys. I know. I know. I will say though, I did meet this one lady. Her name was Maria, and she came up and introduced herself, and I think she like said she vended with Dan or something like that. But she must have been like in her 50s or 60s or something like that. And I don't know. It's just cool to like see people. I don't know, just like somebody, I guess, out of the ordinary that you would expect to be like the primary demographic of people vending Pokemon. Just this nice, like, sweet old lady, and she came up and was like, "Yeah, I'm a lurker. Like, I watch you guys on YouTube." And I was like, "Oh, wow, really?" And she's like, "Yeah, I run
Listen,
like
don't take Maria lightly. She is not. I mean, she is
Oh, do you
sweet.
know
Don't
her?
take her as this sweet old lady who doesn't know
Oh,
what she's
okay.
doing. She knows what she's doing. She's been around. I've known Maria for like over a year now. I vended next to her down in last year's Collecticon in LA. And so, like, Maria is she's a hustler. She knows Pokemon. Like, she is a sweetheart. That is all true, what you
Well, I guess
said.
she
But
sells ice cream. Like, she runs like an ice cream business, is what
Mhm.
she told me. And so, like, over summer, she like prints on ice cream, and then I guess like does Pokemon over the winter or whatever. But I was like, all right, that's a pretty cool retirement for sure. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, do you
So
remember the guy who came up with the stack of the Mew UPCs with the random promos missing from it? Shout out to Maria, that was hers. She sold him all of those, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna grade all the good ones out of there. So I love it, love to see it. Like it's just one of those things. You never know. You never know. She is a hustler. She grades, and so I'm pretty sure she didn't say it, but I don't know for a fact if those were from her. But I talked to her before the show. I saw that stack sitting in her like behind her case. I was like, "Hey, what are those?" She's like, "Oh, it's a bunch of extra promos I haven't taken out of the containers yet." I was like, "Oh, cool." And then I saw that guy walk up with it at the show with all of them, and he's like, "Oh, I just bought this from this like old lady or this lady because she didn't know what she had." He thought he was cooking her. He thought he was taking advantage of her age. I didn't want to sit there and be like, "You didn't cook her at all. She knew exactly what you're doing. You overconfident young man." Like, no. So shout out to Maria. She's amazing. She knows what she's doing. She definitely is good at this vending thing. So don't take advantage of her.
yeah, no, for sure. It was cool to. It's always cool to meet people.
You meet
Cause she
people from all walks of life, in this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she like came up to me and she was like, "Oh, are you a YouTuber?" And I was like, "Nah, like not really." Like and she was like, "Oh no, like what's your name?" And I was like, "Retrospect." She's like, "Oh yeah, I watch your stuff." And so I was like, "Oh, okay, like that makes you feel good or whatever." But I was like, "Nah, lady, like you got me confused with
We're not YouTubers.
like
We have a
real
podcast.
Breaking
There's
Made
a
or
difference
something
between
like that."
having a podcast and being a YouTuber. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it was kind of funny, makes you feel good when someone recognizes you, I guess. But yeah, overall, really good show. I don't know, man. Like shows are good money, but it's just like it's so much work, and like
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
this last one's the first time ever. I've been like really good about it. Like I always have my head on a swivel, but like for whatever reason, and I think it was probably my fault. Like I didn't put it away quick enough or whatever. But like I got a slab, or I got 2 slabs in a trade, and one of them like ended up going missing. So that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, I don't know. Like for the most part, I try to set my stuff up to where like it's not like it doesn't make it, you know, easy for people to steal or do any of that kind of stuff. So I'll probably do the front row shows for sure when they're in Washington. But I don't know if I'm gonna go vend like another Collecticon. You know, like it just I don't know. It's just not for like I get really like I feel like I'm being an asshole now. Like I feel like I'm gonna watch this back and be like, oh man, I was being mean on the podcast. But at shows, like when I'm like cooked at the end of the day and I'm like hungry because like I can't leave at all and I feel really bad like leaving Lacey there to take care of the table. It's like when I get like hangry, yeah, I just like not a good look. So I don't think I'm built for it. I really don't. Like some people are just like built to be vendors and built to be show people in general. I don't think it's me. And I'd like to be able to walk around and like buy stuff more. Like I think I only bought like 20 or 30 cards or something like that, you know, and a lot of that came from trades and people walking up to the table and me buying stuff. But by the time I actually got the chance, yeah, those are crazy. But by the time I got the chance to walk around, there wasn't a ton of stuff left. So um, yeah, I'd like to do some more walking around in the future. But yeah, for all the WotC dust boys, Josh will tell you his little story he picked up from like a WotC employee or whatever.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway from the show from me is that I'm going to every single one of these Seattle shows because I ran into ex Nintendo, ex WotC, ex Pokemon employees, and one of them sold me 2 pre-release Cleffables in moderately to lightly played condition. Insane. Like I've never so like I've been from the West Coast, so I've had the opportunity to see a lot of first edition, Shadowless, WotC, all that kind of stuff because I grew up around it. It really doesn't, you know, it doesn't shock me when it walks out to me because you see a lot of it on the West Coast. Maybe on the East Coast, it's a lot more rare because I heard it didn't make its way out there really until later on. Some of it never did. But like on the West Coast, that stuff is around. It comes up in binders. It's not like, it doesn't blow your mind. So some of that walked up. But then this lady walked up with like this in that same like binder collection of WotC. She had 2, or I think she had a couple more, but she didn't show them. Pre-release Cleffables, and she had a really damaged one too. So I bought the 2 nicer ones that I saw out of that collection. And I was like, lady, where did you get this? Like, I was like looking at them, make sure they were real. I was like, where did you get these? And she's like, oh, I used to work for the printing facility for Wizards of the Coast in the early 2000s, late 90s.
It was Millennium, wasn't it? Is what she said.
Yeah,
it was?
Millennium print group.
Yeah.
And I said, no shit, lady. You were right next to me, I think, when this happened. So I was like, wait, did you say you work for the print group? I said, hold on. I want to buy these from you, but can I have your email? And can we like discuss like just what happened at that time period while you were there? Like, because I want the details. And I started telling her like there's a lot of stuff went on with like print facility, like print sheets and
forget all the details. Let's get that Dutch, German box, the Chinese box. Let's buy all that. Let's break it. Let's rip it. Let's make the money.
So then she goes, yeah, absolutely. Here's my email. She goes, oh, are you interested in like other boxes, like foreign languages? And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I have like these old blah, blah, blah. And we're like sitting there like, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, just write your email. So yeah, we got her contact. So that's good. So I emailed her. I'm hoping that we'll be able to talk to her. And if she's cool, like it would be really cool if she came on the podcast, man. That would be cool to talk about like what her experience in the printing facility at WotC at that time was like. I mean, I wouldn't sit her on here for 3 hours, but just for like a half an hour to have her come on, if she would, it would be really fun. So like, and have the chat be able to ask a couple questions if they were tame, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it would be cool for sure. It's always interesting I think like way back in the day, I think like Leonhard or something had somebody on, like some lady that used to work at WotC or something like that, and they talked for a little bit, and that was kind of interesting to hear how they like treated the employees and like, you know, them giving like the employees free stuff and just kind of like the culture of the company at the time. And It's interesting though that she has like the foreign boxes, but I guess they must have just been printed in the U.S. and then distributed out to like, Germany and Portugal, and I'm trying to remember like all the different places that the vintage stuff got printed. There's like what, Dutch, German, French, Italian, Chinese, Korean. I'm trying
There's
to think.
Australian print. There's
Yeah, I'm
there's all
trying to think
kinds
if
of
there's any other
Spanish as
like
well.
Spanish. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, that was actually one of the things I picked up. Not as
Portuguese.
cool.
Oh, there's Portuguese as well. That's a big
Yeah,
one.
yeah, Portuguese. Pretty much all the stuff that comes in the Champions Festival, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
some dude came up and traded me. He like we were like $5 off on a deal or something like that, and he like gave me a stack of cards and was like, "Oh, you can pick anything out of that." Basically, like I would include that for $5 trade value, and he had a not the hollow, just like the non-hollow rare Jolteon from, is it Jungle or Fossil, whatever one the Jolteon is. The like you know what I'm talking about, like
It's jungle.
yeah, Jungle. It was like the Jungle Jolteon non-hollow, but it was Dutch, and it won't 10, but it would probably PSA 9, so I'm probably gonna sell it raw. But I got it for like $5 trade value, and I'm like, that's probably like $25, I would imagine. You know what I mean? Just because like it's really rare. There's none listed on eBay. And that foreign stuff tends to do pretty good if it's in like clean condition. And like I said, like card is like perfect. It's just got like one white dot, and it would PSA 9. But if I graded it, it would probably only be like $60, 50, $60. And then I'd have to like sit on it maybe for a while. So I'm like, I'll just sell it raw for like 20 or $30 and keep it rocking. But just cool when you see stuff like that show up. Like I really like the look of Chinese base set a lot. Like I like the look of the like the writing. It's more succinct. It's like smaller than Japanese. Like you can really tell if you look at like the difference between the characters on like Chinese, Korean, and Japanese. Japanese is like longer. Like Chinese is like 2 characters, 3 characters. It just looks clean. Like it looks. I don't know. It looks good on those old vintage cards. I've seen a couple on PWCC before, but anyways, hopefully that lady turns out to be a gold mine. That'd be awesome. Then we could finally have a pillar story.
Yeah, I just hope that she emails me back, that it doesn't get lost in her spam, or she doesn't read her email, or forgets that she has it or something. But she kind of knew like what she was about, even though she came up with her cards. Okay, so this is how I knew she had sauce. She came up with her cards in a lot of those old like screw downs from old time sports when they're in like the glass screw downs. She had her Charizards in those. And that's how I know you have sauce. When you come up to my table and like some of your like big cards are in those old timey screw downs, I'm like, okay, you're gonna have some weird old Watsy shit that's like all a bunch of cool stuff. Some of it's gonna be in okay condition, most of it's gonna be cooked, and like it's always gonna be a fun time getting those collections. But then when she busted out and she spilled out the pre-release Clefables, I knew this lady. I was like, hold on, lady, who are you? What is this? And she goes, oh, that's when she spilled the beans. She worked for Watsy, and we were both like taken aback at that. So it'll be really fun. Yeah, that'll be really fun.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I kind of thought that maybe those types of things were gone forever. Like I kind of figured Rusty and PokeRev had like unearthed all of the all of the Watsy, just sauce, test prints, all that kind of stuff, because those guys are just like so connected and plugged in. And when you buy off this employee, then that employee shouts out to their buddy that they used to work with, and then now they're dealing with. So I don't know. Like I just figured that kind of stuff was gone forever, especially like after the boom too. And it is kind of cool to see. But I mean, like people like Radar, like he's constantly meeting people, crazy good at networking and unearthing like nutso stuff. So it's out there. You just have to talk to people. You just have to make a connection, and you definitely did that with this lady for sure. It was probably like the coolest. I don't want to say like the coolest person that showed up at the card show, but like the most unique interaction, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of nice people, really cool people there, but she's the one who stands out a lot to me because like I don't know, because like everything that's popped up in the last couple of years with like all of these like test prints, disco hollows, all these sheets and things, uncut sheets. all of that is like, none of it is known. No one's ever talked to someone from the print facility. No one's talked about any of that crap. And to meet someone who worked like high up in the print facility at that time, who like had awareness of it, is just kind of like, for me, just like really good timing. So that's why it stands out to me for sure. And she was really nice too. And like when we were talking, we connected too. So she gave me a good deal. Like, we comped the pre-release Clefables online, and she gave me an even better deal than what I would have thought on them. So that was really nice of her. But I think it just came down because I was sitting there talking to her, and we did have sort of a connection. So shout out to her. We appreciate her for that, and hopefully we will have her on the podcast so that she can, you know, tell her story or something.
Yeah, no, that would actually be, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. We'll see what happens at that point. What was that other podcast that used to do a bunch of stuff like that? It was the guy that like owns everything.
The shout out to David Person's podcast,
yeah.
Coffee Talks, which they haven't done a podcast in a long time, but friends of the channel. David, great guy, one of the most prolific English collectors in the hobby. He's selling a lot of stuff right now, like extra stuff from his collection, and he's been putting out some sauce. He's also capitalizing on this boom I'm seeing, which is funny.
Yeah, I mean, you know, makes sense. I'm sure he's got dupes of a lot of really nice things, but I feel like that was kind of their vibe, right? Was all that like E4E forum niche pre-release dippity doodah, like all that kind of stuff or whatever. So
oh yeah, like if these two Pikachus, if one of them had a slightly different holo foil than the other one Cosmos holo is a Speckle Cosmos and the other is a Cosmos Cosmos, they would talk about that for at least 2 hours on that podcast. So that's exactly what they're up for, and I'm here for it. That's my kind of thing. I love that podcast. So hopefully when DJ Gigabyte and David get some time again, they'll be able to put out another episode, because I always listen to those. I really like those.
Someone brought up that like Persian, that dark Persian, and I almost like asked you like, is this the error one? Because like
the no HP, yeah, it would have no HP if it was the error in the top right corner.
Yeah, but like I don't.
There's not many of those. Those have all been pretty much picked out, as far as I know. I don't ever see those errors pop up.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is just like a blind spot.
I mean, speaking of errors, I sold something to Zach over the weekend. I sold him that gold bordered Machamp that I had gotten in a collection that I had talked about a little bit. Like, it's just funny. Like you never know. Like it's a $10 card. Like the Machamp I just picked up in a big binder collection and saw it as a regular Machamp, and then upon further inspection thought it was like a counterfeit because it had weird gold borders. Set it aside for maybe a year, didn't do anything with it, then looked at it again and realized this isn't counterfeit, it's just a weird printing thing. And I went into E4, looked it up, and found out some weird variant, and a $10 Machamp turned into several more than $10 that I will say that
several more than several dollars more or several hundred. How much did it go for? I mean,
I don't want to like I don't want to bust out like Zach, like
Zach.
Because he's buying them, he buys them, and I don't know what he buys them for regularly, but it's more than a pre-release, blah blah blah. It's worth more than pre-release Clefable. So that surprised me when I realized that a stupid Machamp with like a gold border is worth more to someone at a percentage than a pre-release Clefable is worth. So that's surprising.
Well, you know, that knowledge, man, it'll make you money if you know the little errors, you know, the little nuance, all that kind of stuff. You could definitely make some good money off of it for sure. There's
that's something that people I think don't take as much advantage of it as they should, is those niche, like the misprint groups. You know what I mean? That's what I'm always saying. Join the misprint group, join the PSA 1 group, join these like smaller groups with these dusted communities you don't agree with. You know what I mean? You will find some things very interesting about what you see there sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's good to have, but it's not like scalable. You know what I mean? Like you can't
scale.
God,
no. Yeah, no. I'm never going to find another gold Machamp like
but
that.
the one time you buy a binder collection and there's a print dot on some English waifu or something, you know what group to go to on Facebook to get like $70 for a $2 card because it's got like a little print dot on it or whatever. So, yeah, man, people collect all sorts of crazy errors, and they pay a lot for just stuff that's like drastically OC that doesn't really have like any error to it. It's just like miscut or. I mean, hey man, like it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some money in it for sure. And the PSA 1 sales never cease to amaze me. Especially when it's like sauce. And I feel like now it's mostly sauce. Like it's like gold stars and shinings and like really nice cards, and people are paying pretty good money for the PSA 1s. And I don't know, that kind of stuff breaks my brain, but it's good to know that it exists in case, you know, you have the opportunity to make a play on it or something.
Yeah, the PSA 1 thing has never really gone away. It's only gotten bigger. It's funny because my best video on my channel, with the most views at least, is my old PSA 1 video that still gets views to this day. It just shows off like my PSA 1 collection, most of which I don't even have anymore. So I think it's kind of funny that that's like the one that has the most views, but people like it. You know, people like PSA 1s. They collect. I feel like this hobby more than any is like a true collector's hobby, and that's what's really wholesome about the Pokemon space versus like Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering is fickle because if the card isn't useful to the community anymore, they're like, they drop it, and it's just like, you're not useful to me, you're dead to me. Pokemon, there's like sentimentality. People have attachments to it, like. It even translates to not just cards. People aren't gonna like this because it's Pokemon Go related, but like I play a lot of Pokemon Go, right? And I play a lot of battles or PvP against other people in Pokemon Go. My favorite Pokemon to use on my team, on every team that I possibly can, whenever I make a team of 3, my core base is Umbreon. Umbreon is my boy. He's bulky. He's really, really defensive, but he can do good damage. Dark typing is pretty useful, and he has good moveset. So I use him on all my teams. In this most recent cup, I can't use him at all, and I'm lost without Umbreon. So like, it's like people are very, they are attached to certain things. It's sentimentality, and I feel that way about Umbreon. Just because I have to use a different Pokemon now, I'm not liking playing as much because it's like, I don't have the attachment to this like Altaria or whatever the other Pokemon are. I want Umbreon, man. That's like my sentimentality. So I think people get attached to Pokemon. They love it for irrational reasons. Maybe I had a rational reason for why I liked it in the beginning, but now I'm irrationally attached to Umbreon and I'm not interested when he's not on my team. So like people get like that with collecting, you know, they just get into something.
Bullish on Umbreon for sure. I mean, that it's crazy, man. Like almost every Umbreon card is expensive, and in some cases, like even non-holos, like modern non-holos, you can get away with like grading with CGC or PSA and still squeak like $50 out of it or something. Like Umbreon, it's funny too because like as a kid, I don't remember Umbreon being like that hype. Like I don't remember any of my friends. Like I think if anything, I feel like it was more Espeon because Psychic was so strong.
I liked Espeon better. I never liked Umbreon. The reason I like Umbreon now is strictly because I used him in like over thousands of battles, and I've gotten an attachment to him because it's like in my comfort. I just like the dude because we have a relationship now. He's my Pokemon. He's like literally one of my best Pokemon. So I can't say bad things about him when he's that good. I just can't.
Yeah. For sure. One last thing too, I wanted to say, because I guess the title is like "Return to the Scams." There's always going to be people doing bad stuff, but like definitely when things start like heating up, and definitely during the holidays, people are always like, It's just like it's scam season, and it's not just in cards.
So that's why I wanted to talk about it like this, because this season is when it starts ramping up. You
gotta lock your cars. Don't be leaving your purse on your seat. Like don't It's
obvious stuff like getting your packages off of the porch, not letting it sit around this time of year. If you're expecting expensive Pokemon cards that are like branded with Pokemon Center packaging, like maybe don't let it sit. Maybe watch the tracking a little bit. And also be careful where you're buying from when the boom is happening, and make sure you're using goods and services. I just got potentially, well, I got my money back already with PayPal because I use goods and services. But if I hadn't had used goods and services and used friends and family, I would have been in a much different situation. I would have got scammed. And I've heard friends of mine recently have also recently got scammed on different deals. I just saw a video where our friend Ray, Shining Cards and Collectibles, he got scammed on a few Moonbryons that were running around by the same person selling Moonbryons to like 5 or 6 different people. That just happened. So like, as long as you're paying with things with goods and services, you're labeling it, and you're being careful about like, try to make sure there's timestamps on pictures if you're buying things off of official sources or where they're not from official sources. You usually will be safe, but it's very good to note that this time of year, when things start ramping up, when you start seeing the boom happen, you start seeing pre-orders getting put up and then canceled by these like ghost stores. And when you get a pre-order from a store that's like over a month out, and you put a pre-order in from this random game store online that you've never heard of, for Prismatic Evolutions, for example, this is relevant, and they go the 30 days, and then you find out maybe close to release, they're just not going to send it because you really have no way of knowing if they're going to send the product until release. You're 30 days out from your time of like recourse to get your money back. You are shit out of luck, even if you did pay goods and services at that point. Or it's maybe not, maybe you still have a chance, but you're much harder to get your money back at that point. So like, you really have to be careful from who you buy from in these times. Make sure you're protecting yourself. You're not pre-ordering too quickly, because all that is a free loan. And you just are kind of being aware that these are the times when things start happening and stuff. So
yeah, and if you're at a show, watch your stuff. It was funny, man. I was at this dude's table, and this guy, like, I try to be very like polite when like other people are looking at stuff. Like if they're looking through binders or looking through somebody's like stack of raw cards, like I'll just sit there and kind of like wait in the back. I don't try to like weasel myself in there or whatever. But I was looking through this binder, and this guy kind of like came in and was like trying to look at like all the binder, and I was like, I was like, all right, man. But I tried to like move the binder, like not run away with it, but I tried to like move the binder, and I tried to pick it up, and it was taped to the table. And I was like, oh, yeah, like that's, which inconvenient in the sense that like I'm not trying to like be like this, trying to look at the binder, but I get it. Like I understand why they did that, like people are walking off with binders and stuff like that. And it's not to like scare people off of vending or anything, but you just have to understand it doesn't matter if it's Collecticon or if it's a local show. Like these people are not paying security. The security that is there is not, it's just like, it doesn't make sense. Like you can't expect one or two, like even I feel like we were in, what was it, Fort Worth, Collecticon, so like Texas, where you would expect like people to be strapped and there to be like a good law enforcement presence. There's like 2 dudes. This convention center was massive, massive, and I remember there being crime after the fact that got reported on YouTube that happened there in Texas, where everybody is strapped, and it's like, yo, like don't mess with me, right? Like, so it just kind of is what it is. Like people, like these are highly like I think you would probably still go to jail, right? Like if you stole somebody's binder and they caught you on camera, like you're probably going to like, or at least I would hope so. Like I don't know like what sort of consequences there are, but it seems like maybe there aren't very many consequences because these people are doing this consistently. And so, and like maybe I'm saying that, oh, like but this is the first time, like out of all the times I've ended, this is the first time anything's happened, and it was probably my fault. Like it probably, in the sense that like I didn't put it away quick enough. Like I maybe left it out on the table and somebody just got, handsy or whatever and snagged it. I don't know like what the deal with it was there. But yeah, like you just, if you're going to be a vendor, like personally, like I put all of my sealed stuff towards the back, and so that people can't just like, walk off with a box really quick. The binders, like it's a little more tough for somebody to like walk off with them because they're kind of like big and bulky, and like they're right in the middle of my table. So I'm watching people look through them. And then like I keep my cases closed 24/7. Like unless I'm pulling something out for you to look at or to sell you, like the cases are closed. And that's where like my high value raw cards and the graded stuff is. But yeah, like I would never put like little like raw cards or anything like on the table directly because it's just too easy for people to like grab that stuff and walk away with it. And when you're talking to so many people at one, when there's like 3 people at your table, it's very easy for somebody to just walk up and kind of look like they're waiting to talk to you and then just kind of like, you know, slide their hand out and snag something off your table. So you just have to be aware. And it sucks because it's like, oh man, like you want to believe that people are going to be good and do the right thing, but it's like this is reality. Like that's not the case. Like there's always going to be people looking to steal and do stuff that they shouldn't be doing, and it sucks. Like it's like monetary wise, it's like it's not even like it wrecked me. Like it wasn't like it was like a $5,000 car. It's like $200 or $300. So like it stings, but it's not like, oh, like I just lost all my profit for the day, or it was it's like it's not even like that. And it came in a trade, and so but it hurt more because it's like, damn, man, like I would never steal somebody. Like that is so like, and it was probably somebody I talked to. You know what I mean? Like I probably had a conversation with them and then like looked over and was talking to somebody else for a second, trying to help them, and they stole some shit from me. It's just like, oh man, like you you suck. You know what I mean? Like that's not cool, man. So if you're gonna go,
That's where I'm
Ben,
at with like having a camera. I almost feel like having the camera isn't going to do anything to per se stop it from happening or even help you get it back. Really, all it's going to do is put salt in the wound and make you realize that person you had a good interaction with is actually just reaching around the other side and
well,
grabbing
like
your.
what happens to these people? Because there's like camera stuff of people that like get caught stealing binders and cards and stuff like at shows with the vendor people. So like, do those people go to jail? Like, I don't like, or do those like if you
I
get
don't
caught on
think
camera
anything
literally
happens
stealing?
to any of those people. I think it goes so far, Nick, and this is what upsets me is I wish there was a way that there was something like a list that went around for all of these shows. That I get that if the vendors of the shows don't want to like be friends with each other because they're competition, or the other showrunners, they don't want to be friends with the other showrunners because it's like, I have the best Collecticon, no, I have the best show, and they don't want to like, but like at least share your shit list with each other, like of people who have stolen from your, like ban these people, like do something. But to your point, I don't think anything really can happen. Like what can realistically, what could you do? I mean, they're not
Well,
going
that's
to
what I'm
jail
saying. Is
for
like
it.
I don't know because I don't like watch the. Now I'm like, oh, maybe I should watch a drama channel so I could find out if these people are going
No,
to
no,
jail. When
nothing happens to these people. I always hear that
even if
they
your
get like
face is on
reported.
camera stealing something, they don't do anything to you. Like you can't. That's
Nothing.
crazy.
They literally give a lot of the time. What will happen is at these shows, if the vendors get caught and the vendors find out and they're still in the room, there's like social justice and they get their refund back, and they give the money
Social
back.
justice, dog.
Yeah, and then they
What?
can leave and they're like, "Oh, get out of here!" And they like shout at them or something. But
Nah, we're not throwing
nothing fucking
onions, dog.
happens
Like,
though. That's my
nah, like,
point. The
no, like
person
we're not
goes
throwing
probably
tomatoes and
laughing their
onions
ass off out there and does it to another show.
like an old Shakespearean play. Like, no, you jack me, like you're, nah, man. Like
But
that's
that's
so
what I mean. Like,
crappy.
what can
That's
be
so
done?
crappy.
I feel like it's on the showrunners to share those shit lists with each other and to take documentation when that happens of these people. Take a picture of them if you're a showrunner. Like any of this stuff, put it up on your wall. I don't know. What can you really do? You know?
Yeah, I don't know. But that all being said, I mean, like that's it's negative. Like most of the time, 99.9999% of the people that you're gonna meet at
Yeah,
these shows, they're
obviously
good
that's
people.
that
They're
is
good
the
people.
worst case scenario we're talking about, but it's just one of those things that gets covered, and it begs the question like what can really be done. And until something's really done about it, I think people will continue being ballsy and doing it. And so it is one of those things that's unfortunate. And that's why vendors do need to kind of keep an eye on their own stuff. And you see a lot of cameras, but even with cameras, it's like, what are you going to really do?
Yeah, that's a bummer,
And
man.
and I
That's
mean,
a
and
bummer.
to the point of the chat, like when the cops do find out, oftentimes because it's Pokemon cards, it's oftentimes not thought of as seriously, even when you tell them the money that's involved. Because you can go to the cops and be like, "Hey, I got
You gotta tell them it's
$40,000
sports
stolen."
cards instead. That's what you gotta do. You be like, "Oh, he stole my sports cards." Then they'll do something. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I would lead to. I'm of the belief that even sports cards are probably not getting taken seriously, but it's way less so for Pokemon. And so like cops almost I think don't take it as serious when it's Pokemon sometimes. And that's unfortunate too. But maybe that's not the case anymore because it's like very well known. Pokemon's booming. Everyone knows it's worth money.
That to me though, like that, and again, like I haven't, like I haven't run-ins with the law, but like I'm thinking to myself, like stealing is stealing, right? Like
you would
I
think.
like when you get into an accident, right? There's like the dollar amount cut off, like if the repairs caused by the accident don't equal 500 or 700 or whatever it is, like you don't need to call the cops, right? Like you can just trade insurance and then go from there. So like maybe there's something like that with theft, but like to me it shouldn't matter. Like you could steal my grandma's
One
antique
piece of
vase.
gum is just as bad as like a whole like roll of bank.
Value, like one piece of gum, like I could see them being like, okay, I'm not doing anything, but like it
Well,
doesn't matter what
technically, this is bad. It's both stealing. It's not. I don't think it is.
But I'm saying more so like if the Pokemon card is $1,000, if you stole $10 worth of goods from a store, like aren't you getting in trouble? So then like 1,000, who cares if it's Pokemon cards? You stole $1,000 item. It doesn't matter what it is. You stole $1,000. How, and if you're on camera, like how are you not getting in trouble? Like that's crazy. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's crazy. Like what? Like in this world where you can get canceled for something you said 15 years ago, but if you're on camera stealing $1,000 from somebody, you don't get in trouble. That's wild. Like that, I don't know, man. Like that's not fair. Like that's not fair. Like those people. I'm not saying like, oh, I'll burn them at the stake, but like, come on, do you steal something? Like you should get in trouble for it. You should have to pay it back or give it back or whatever. And like you should get in trouble for it. Like you can't just walk around stealing people's stuff regardless of what it is. Like what are we doing here? Like this is, come on, man. Like am I just out of my mind here? Like I don't know.
What do you do to stores who cancel pre-orders and put those pre-orders back up at higher prices after months of taking money from people? What do you do for that? Is that a punishable by law offense?
No,
is that something that can become after sued? What do you do about that?
Wait, like if they steal your money, like if they
they refund. Okay, so say I was an idiot and I put up Surging Sparks for $90 like months before. I took everyone's money, and now that it's $200, I refund everyone's $90. Say, oh, I got my Surging Sparks, but I didn't get enough. Sorry, I have to refund you guys. And then I put them up on my store for $220 and start selling it now. I had that $90 for like theoretically like 2 months, 3 months ahead of time as a free loan, and all those people had their locked in product. And then I, as a store, now this is a hypothetical situation. Nobody get their panties in a bundle. I am not doing this. I don't do pre-orders. I don't sell Surging Sparks boosts. But if I was one of these stores, hypothetically, which they existed, there's if you're one of those customers, what happens to that store? Do you think retrospects that store should be held accountable? Should they be just shut down by the public and everyone says, rah, 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 they're canceling pre-orders, that's enough? Should the cops be able to get involved? Because that's technically kind of fraud. It feels like that's kind of like fraud, right?
No, I don't think that's fraud. I don't think that's fraud. I think there's like, as far as I understand, like there's no legal contract when someone enters into a pre-order. Like you can there's no, that's what it's like businesses, right? Like, oh, we have the right to refuse service to anybody type thing. Like, I don't think it's a good thing to do, but to me, it's like, don't get mad, get even. Like, I'm not going to sit and go to Rattle and type out how angry I am in Discord and Instagram and like let it ruin my whole week. I'm going to be like, all right, cool. And just remember it for the next time. Like, I will never do business with this person again because I know how they do business. That's it. Keep it pushing. Like, that's all you can do. Like, you sitting and getting all frustrated about it and complaining to this person and that person, it's just a bag. Like, people are going to do that because they have crappy business practices and they're not good people. And that just kind of is what it is. It sucks, but it's also like, all right, well, there's plenty of people doing good business. Never do. And it's like, you have options. So never do business with that person ever again. Keep it pushing and do business with people that treat you right. You know what I mean? Like, and it's kind of like both ways right now because of the way the market is, where vice versa, people that never wanted stuff before all of a sudden want a favor from game stores and expect game stores to break even like they have been for the past 3 years. So that, oh, well, now I want a deal and if you don't give me a deal, you're and it's like that. I don't know, man. Like that's weird on the other side of it too. So To me, it's just like find where you can get the best deal with people that, follow through on their word. And if they don't, like, it is what it is. Like there's, I think it's like Maya Angelou or something, but she has this saying that's like, when people show you who they are the first time, believe them. I subscribe to that 1,000%. Like, don't make excuses for people. Oh, well, they did it. And it's like, I know who you are now. I'm not doing business with you. Next. And you have so many options of so many good people doing good business in this hobby that there's no reason for you to be doing business with people that are dinguses or canceling your pre-orders. Rusty never would cancel. I don't even know if Rusty does pre-orders, but like Rusty's never going to cancel a pre-order. Dan's never going to cancel a pre-order. Nick, Z, like these types, like they're not going to cancel pre-orders. Like there's plenty of people out there that are good businesses that have good reputations that you don't need to be working with people that are sketchy. And it sucks. And I'm sorry if you got taken advantage of somebody, especially if you're new to the hobby and like you don't really have the knowledge or the connections or the network or whatever. And so you did get taken advantage of. And unfortunately, I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people right now, because it seems like there's a lot of new people coming into the hobby, especially with these new sets. And so like I'm sorry about that. Like absolutely. But hopefully those people learn moving forward, hey, like I can't be working with these kind of people because they're the type of people that will take advantage of you or cancel your stuff or whatever. So that's a bummer. And I think for like on a business side of it too, it's like I like, at least what I can say for myself with like the Japanese side of things or whatever is like I don't cancel pre-orders. Like I know there's plenty of people that did cancel pre-orders. Like last time the 151 thing hit or whatever, there was a lot of people that sold a bunch and then had to cancel. I've never canceled an order. I will never cancel an order. Like period. Like that, you know what I mean? So it just, yeah, I don't know. It kind of just is what it is, and there's different morals and ethics and things that people think are acceptable or whatever. And I'm not here to be like the moral arbiter of what's appropriate and what isn't. But again, like my long-winded way of saying, like, don't get mad, get even. So that's where I'm at with it. But what about you? What do you think?
I tend to disagree with that statement. I do think it's good to get mad at these places, because if you don't get upset and really state that and tell other people about what happened and spread the word and kind of be a loud voice, or find someone else to be a loud voice for you about it, they're going to take that money and do it to someone else. And at the very least, what you're doing by being a loud voice is you're not putting negativity out and you're not being annoying. You're helping prevent someone else from having the same experience you had, because you know damn right there's not going to be any law enforcement, no real business, like no recompense. They're going to get rewarded for that behavior. They got a free loan from their customer, and then they could sell it for even more of a profit with zero risk whatsoever. I think those businesses shouldn't just have like no problem and not have your business anymore. They shouldn't have your business or your friend's business or your friend's business or anyone's business after that. And they deserve to go out of business. I actually do think that people probably are doing right by sort of being vocal and loud when these things happen, because you know that the government's not going to come in. You know the cops aren't going to do anything for you. You're going to get your money back probably from goods and services. You're going to get refunded. But now you're going to have to buy that same box you thought you had for $100 at $220, or you have to tell yourself that you don't care about it and that you're just going to wait for the reprint when you know damn well you wish you had it right then. So like, I think personally, stores that do that should be ran through the mud. I think it should be one of those things that it's a bigger deal when like a store cancels. It is unfortunate to see, because like I think that the people who get taken advantage of the worst are the people who come into the hobby who don't know any better, right? And the reason that they go to these stores for like that will cancel versus someone like Rusty, TCA Gaming, or a more reputable source, or some other sellers that sell for a higher price because they're reputable, is they're trying to get the best price, period. So like if you're looking at a website and it has like boxes for $44.99 shipped, and then another website has it for like $54.99 shipped, you're going to go for the $44.99 shipped one, just because even if you haven't heard of it, you probably haven't heard of the other person. Who the fuck is Retrospecs? Who the fuck is that versus Joe Schmo, card shop, when you just came to the hobby 2 weeks ago because you saw Prismatic Evolutions is sold out everywhere? Like, it doesn't matter. Just because you have more followers doesn't mean that, they're going to go for the cheaper price. So I understand why people, and I think it's a bit of a cop
But
out.
like also to play the devil's advocate, like you have to understand, like in anything else in life, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. You know what I mean? Like, and so
Well,
if the
who's to say
only
what's
thing
too
you're
good to be true? You know, that's putting
well,
it
I
on
mean,
the
like, look, dude,
buyer.
if you're coming into a market, even if you know absolute, like I never got scammed a single time, and I came in during the pandemic when it was like a business model to scam people. I never got scammed. I wasn't even watching these market YouTubes. I literally just went on eBay and bought boxes from P Football Pete because I had two brain cells enough to know, like, oh, this guy's got hundreds of thousands of feedback. He's probably not going to risk his hundreds of thousands of feedback on scamming me, some random dude. And the market price seems to be pretty in line with what everybody else is selling for. Now, if I went on there and was like, okay, P Football Pete, all these like 99.9% feedback sellers with hundreds of thousands of feedback are selling at 120. Oh, but this guy over here has it for 60 and has 97% feedback over 10 trend. Maybe I should go with him. It's like, duh, like you're gonna get cooked. It's just like use common sense. Like, not to say that everybody that's getting scammed or these people canceling pre-orders, like it's because they're not using, but there's a lot of stuff that's like, let's be honest here. And people get way too greedy about stuff. And sometimes like that comes around to bite them in the ass. Like I remember during the pandemic, it was the fake evolutions boxes from China. And it was like it was so obvious. Like it wasn't even like a hindsight is 2020 thing. It was literally so obvious. When the hottest box at that time, it was like $700 to $1,000, and there's listings on eBay for $100. Of course it's fake. Like of course it's fake. Like you do not have to be a genius or some hobby savant that's been here for 5 years to know that an item that the market price is 700 and this guy over here has it for 100, that it's going to be a fake or a scam or whatever. So like there has to be some personal agency and personal responsibility that needs to be applied to this kind of stuff, in my opinion. Not saying like all the time. And then to your point about dragging people through the mud, it's like, dude, who has time for that shit? Like that is such like a
I can
waste of
think
your
of several
personal
drama channels that
emotional.
have time that live for that shit. I can think of three names off the top of my head that like really live for that shit. So there are some people.
I guess, but like, what a sad life. Like, what is if that's like your
Well, I
entire
mean,
like
okay, listen,
for
if you're the
me?
one who got scammed and you don't want to go and do the damage yourself, you can always go to someone else and say, hey, this happened to me, throw them on blast. I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se. I just think that it's unfortunate that there's nothing that goes on, that these game stores can get away with it like multiple times. There are stores who've gotten away
That's
with
the thing is
canceling
like
orders.
they can't like they can't and they won't, and it doesn't
No, but
matter
they
if
still
anybody.
do. They still do, and it's happened, and it'll happen in the boom, and then it'll be blown up, and they'll kind of go underground for a little while, and then they'll wait it out, and then they'll come back under a different name, maybe, but the same people, and like it's you see the same sort of shit all the time. It's wild.
You
But
do,
that's
but like
where the boom. That's what the whole point is. That's how you know.
most of the value and most of the sales are still accruing to the like Safari Zone or whatever. Like Safari Zone, as far as I know, like they're not canceling pre-orders, right? Like they've been here for years. Like they've been here for so long, and they're probably even bigger now than they were, a couple of years ago or whatever. So to me, it's like value continues to accrue to it. Like what is it, Pareto principle or whatever? Like top 80% does, owns whatever, or the top 5% owns 80% of the market or whatever. Like that's kind of how it is. And so like you never. Well, I don't know because I don't watch the drama channels, but like I don't, outside of like the Blake dude, it's usually not like some massive institutional brand. It's like some random streamer guy or like some dude I've never even heard about on Instagram that stole somebody's Poncho Pikachu. Like it's never like Mason Cardinal. It's never people like that. And like the Blake dude, I didn't even know who he was, to be completely honest. Like I had no idea who that dude was. Like I only recognized his name from football. I had no idea that he was doing Pokemon cards. There was a big deal in Pokemon cards. So like it's not these, it's always the small shady rando. It's almost never the institution because they just have too
Yeah,
much, they have too much
it's
writing
too
on
much
it.
to lose. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's not to say like don't support small business. I'm a small business. A lot of these other people are small businesses. And that's like a big theme right now as all this institutional money comes in. Like are the small businesses going to get squeezed out? Like, can we still compete? Blah, blah, blah. So it's like, yeah, it's not to say don't support your small business, but like, I don't know. If you're really
Maybe
worried about
pay
it, or
goods
you,
and services if you've never dealt with them before.
oh yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely,
like that's
man.
the bare minimum. Like we're not saying don't support small businesses, but unless they're trusted and you know you've dealt with them or they're standing in front of you kind of thing, or your friends or me and Nick or something, like pay goods and services for the most part, I would say is the safest thing to do, just generally speaking.
Yeah. And again, like most people are honest. Like most people are good people. Most people are going to do what they're going to say that
But
they're, or what they
paying
say
goods
they're
and
going to do.
services doesn't help you with pre-order scams though. That was my theme of kind of my last rant was the pre-order scams.
Yeah, I mean,
You have to be this market know-it-all
I'm
who knows the trusted and not trusted. You have to know when to spend more because you need to get it from a trusted source versus getting it for the bottom dollar to make your investment. Because honestly, your buy-in price is the only price that matters when you're investing. So if you can get your box for $10 cheaper, but it's a little bit riskier, that's a risk calculation that you need to take. You can't always buy from the most expensive place just because you think it's safe. That's a naive way of going about like the way people interact with this
Well, it's like,
hobby.
what is it worth to you? I mean, if you have a long time horizon and you're paying $10 more for a box, if you think the box is going to 250 in 3 years, who gives a shit about $10? Because the difference there is like, okay, well, you're spending $600 a case. You save $60. What's the potential downside? You lose 600. Who cares about $60? Like that's what I would say is like stop being so hyper focused on price sensitivity and think about the intangibles. Like I don't always look like when I go on TCG Player to buy cards. I mean, obviously I want the cheapest price, but if the cheapest listing on there is not a good listed seller, I don't buy it. I'll pay more.
I
Like
disagree with that take for different reasons.
I,
I
I, I
actually like
do like it is what it is. Like
well,
sometimes like
wait,
if
you
it's
don't think the good sellers that exist as 0% feedback sellers and sell sauce all the time?
they probably do. They probably do. But like I if it's 0%, I don't usually buy. But if it's like 100%, but it's a smaller seller, I'll buy. But if it's like zero, I'm like, eh.
So I feel differently. Like if it's 100% and they have less than 100 sales, but they're 100%, I feel like they picked through and they're selling their non-gradables. If it's a 0% seller and they're selling one or two cards, I feel like they're just selling the cards. They have no idea what they're doing. It could go either anyway. It's the wild, wild west. If it's a big, huge seller with like thousands and thousands of sales and they have 20 plus, 30 plus quantities of listings, I feel comfortable buying because they have so much, they're not sifting through it. But if it's in the middle and they have 100% feedback, I'm kind of like looking at that seller. I'm like, I'm not going to buy from you without seeing a picture first because I bet you're selling me one with a little white dot on the corner because you're a smart person. And that's so I feel completely different than you about that, which is funny. And sorry to get us on a tangent, but that's like a little offshoot. I didn't realize that's how you're buying on TCG Player because you and I, we have very different
It's not
philosophies
always like
about
a
how we buy.
firm thing, but I'm just using that as an example.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I don't
fair enough. Yeah,
always
okay,
pay
fair enough.
with just like anything in general. Like when I'm buying, so it's like obviously, yeah, it's always nice to get stuff for the cheapest price. But if the cheapest price to me doesn't look like the safest option, I don't. It's not like okay, well, I'm not buying this anymore. Like I'll pay more for the safety, for the guarantee. Like it is what it is, and like it's all trade offs. It's like sending your I mean, in the case of sending your stuff to Z&G Emporium class, little plug or whatever, but like you're making more money yourself. But even if like you're selling a bunch of cards under $100, like and you're worried about the $5 fee or whatever, it's like, well, what is it worth to you? Like you have to think about that too. And so like if the peace of mind, like if you're getting so caught up over $10, you probably shouldn't be buying the box to begin with. But like if you really just want peace of mind, like I saw it too, like for the Forge and Fire stuff when they were doing the cases, you could buy cases like regular cases where they just slap the shipping label like right on it, or you could pay more to get it double boxed because people like they're like, oh, so like what's it worth to you? Because you can get it cheaper, but then if you're somebody that's like really particular about having your cases perfect and you don't want any marker on it or you don't want any shipping labels on, like okay, then you're gonna have to pay more. Like there's all these little intangible things. So it's like, what is all this stuff worth to you? And to
Are you a
me,
double boxer or are you a just ship it, throw a label and ship
I
it
don't
in the
have
box?
English, so I don't.
What would you do if you had that option?
Well, selfless or shameless plug, like if you do order Japanese cases for me, everything comes double boxed. Everything, like the cases will be wrapped in bubble wrap, and then those come in boxes. So yeah, everything comes double boxed. Nothing is getting shipped with a shipping label directly on it. So
That's funny because I would always ship it. I would always take it with just the label on the box myself to save the money.
That's what I'm saying. I don't have English, so like I don't know if it's harder to get those boxes or whatever, or boxes that fit like an English case. But like
they're awkward, yeah, they're really awkward.
The PCETB, the Surging Sparks case I got, that one came. Well, it's funny because they put the shipping label right on top of the like product label. So when I peeled it off, like some of the ink came off. So like you can't even really see that it's a Surging Sparks like ETB or PC ETB case anymore. So I'm like, all right, well, you know, I don't know if it'll hold any sort of premium. Now it's still sealed, like it's still got the stop tape and everything else on it, but like you know, I took off the shipping label. So yeah, I don't know. Like me personally, probably like when I start running the website, like if I had English, I'd probably, unless it was like a significant amount more to put it, I would just find specialty boxes that ship cases and just buy like a good amount of them. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand like why that would be so much more expensive to find like a case, like a box that fits English cases.
Oh, my sweet, sweet summer child. You've never sold sealed product. You don't know how slim the product margins can be when things aren't booming. It's so cute listening to this.
Not right now, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like if it wasn't a big deal, buy with a credit card, make your 2% cash back, break even. Like just sell it for break even. You made 2% and you can keep your allocation going like forever. Like I don't understand why.
It makes sense now, of course, when everything's going to $200.
It made sense back then too. Remember I told you to buy Stellar Miracle. You were bearish. You didn't want to listen to me. I told you.
I'm not lamenting on my choices here.
You were bearish. You didn't want to listen
about me. I've made my bed and I'm sleeping in it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is like you got to keep the relationship going, dog. Like break even, put the boxes up there for 110 or whatever, charge the $5 shipping, break even, net clip the credit card fee, keep it rocking and rolling. Like keep it rocking at volume.
You're like, why is it that people don't spend the extra money on the double boxing? It's like they're already breaking even or losing on it. Why are you gonna tell them?
That's what I'm saying though, they charged extra. Like they charged you extra. There was two options.
If you're charging extra, that's great, but your customer doesn't want to charge extra, or your customer doesn't want to pay extra though.
But they were. That's what I'm saying is people were paying $15 extra to buy a double box, then they sold out because people are like really, really like, oh, it has to be double box, which I get. Like I don't know if that holds some sort of sealed premium or whatever with English over time and people want like really clean cases or whatever. But if that's the case, who cares about $15, right? Like an extra $15 or whatever they're charging to get a double box. If it's being
passed on to the buyer, yes. But if you, the seller, are taking it and just eating it as a cost, I am against that. No, I do not agree with that. And that is not realistic. I disagree. That's an unrealistic take. But if the buyer is buying it, absolutely. I think offering it as an extra added, because you can charge like $1 more than what it costs you and make money on that shipping too. And then it's like even more of a racket. That's not what we're talking about here, buddy. We're talking about people who expect it to be double boxed because it's like, it's an investment. And like, bro, you better pay extra for that or something. That's all I'm saying.
I think giving people the option is good. Like with Japanese, it's a little bit different. Like I said, everything is like, you know, wrapped and comes in a box.
Slightly different situation with that.
So it's a little bit
English is a big, awkward, long, oblong 6 booster box. You have to like carry it on your shoulder like it's a fucking sack, a big old solid sack of like, I don't know, something, potatoes that doesn't move. It's like a really difficult and awkward box to like find a double box for. So like, I think you really do have to pay extra. If you really want a double box for that fits well, it's going to be a specialty item that's not going to be less than like $5 a box from Uline.
Really?
I mean, I don't know.
I wish we had
bought those from Uline before, so I don't know the real, but I'm sure it's like $2 to $3 a box and maybe more for that awkward.
Oh man, I wish we had dimensions right now. We could like look this up live and figure out like what it would cost. I don't know like what the dimensions on an English case are, but I'm
Someone
actually
in the
interested.
chat, if you know what the dimensions on a booster box, I don't have one. I don't buy English booster box cases anymore, so I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask anymore. But if the chat, I'm sure there's some fine investors in the chat who have literally walls of the stuff behind them because they're rolling in it. Tell us what the dimensions are and how much the double boxes cost if you guys are aware of that.
Yeah, they have a whole thing on Uline, long corrugated boxes, and it's for like golf clubs and rugs
Well,
and
that would
stuff.
make sense for like golf bags. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
You have
So
to get a
there's
very specific sized one, I would think, though, for the booster boxes.
this is Patreon exclusive sauce right here, telling you where to go to buy your
Yeah, the
your
Uline. Oh, yeah, I'm sure
yeah,
these guys have never heard of Uline before.
never heard of it. So yeah. All right.
Okay,
Well,
so as we're going through here and we're getting towards the 2 hour mark, if you have any questions down below, go ahead and type them. I'll do a little bit scrolling here.
Kai said retro is 151 Japanese going to the moon. It definitely seems that way. It hit $70 for about a day, and now I think I have it for 83 a box. So it is rocketing back up. A little like restock hit that was going to send everything to zero again, and it sent it down to 70 for a whole day, and now it is more expensive than it was. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be stopping. Apparently in December, big box retailers are going to be getting like more stock, but just with the way, but it's going to be kind of like staggered. It's not going to like all hit at once. And yeah, I don't know. I honestly have no idea what's going to happen. I don't think anybody does, but like my feeling just off the way things have been going and how quick things have been selling out is even if there is a good amount of it in December, it's still going to be more expensive in December than it is now, is the feeling I get, So I don't know. We'll see what happens. If it drops a lot, I'm going to buy a lot of it though. But I don't think it will. I really don't. I think this is kind of going to be like the last little hurrah for it, and then it's headed straight to the moon. So
The list is too long, but if you ever really want to see some examples, all you have to do is go into some of my old videos and read the comment section, Pokemon.
the One Piece crowd. Fairy Lake says, I have Pizza Hut Pikachu promos on their way. I didn't even know they did a Pizza Hut Pikachu promo.
Well, we were talking about, that was when pizza was going on the downtrend. We were talking about the whole pizza versus taco thing. That's when he said that.
Yeah, I got to look that up. Pizza Hut Pikachu. Oh, it's a Chinese thing.
I try my best not to, Pokemartin, until I'm done with my rants. And you know those rants can go on for a long time because you'll notice when I look at the comments, because I'll literally lose my train of thoughts because you guys are hilarious and I appreciate all of you. And because of that, I try not to pay too much attention until I know that I have the ability to do so.
Yeah. I mean, no one's really said anything. It's just been kind of like a lot of trolling, right? People talking about like the cop stuff and basic.
I mean, yeah, it's mostly just the usual crowd, our lovely spectators with their mostly funny comments. I think some are like half serious too, though. So
Basic said you can pretty much steal $500 worth of goods and you still won't go to jail, but it varies from state to state. That's
I don't know if I would take that as that's not financial advice at all. I don't know if Basic Trainer knows what he's talking
life
about.
advice.
That one. Yeah, no, don't go do that. Don't go to your local store and steal like $4.99 and tell them that you heard it on a YouTube video, because that's certainly not what we're advocating.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. That's if that's true though. I feel like that is kind of true because I feel like during the pandemic, like that was a big thing because people were stealing stuff or whatever. And I don't know. I don't want to get into all that. That's a whole can of worms. But I Googled it. I'm not advocating. I'm just answering.
Sure. Well,
we definitely didn't think you were advocating.
Yeah, we'll lead them back to you if they're saying that someone online told them. So You won't have much money to buy one of these pre-release labels after that, but go ahead and reach out to me. I saw you asking about it earlier. I was probably going to grade them though, basic, but we'll see.
I will say
yeah,
too,
I feel like if we don't have a lot of other questions, unless you have anything else you want to go into, we can probably wrap it up, kind of finish on up, and call it a night.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I would say is like even Shiny Treasure is starting to move up. Shiny Treasure was $30 a box forever. Now I think I have it at like 36 or something like that. Like even stuff that was printed to the ground. But this, I mean, this always happens with like Japanese specialty sets. They get down to 30 and then a year later they're 120. Like that's just kind of how it goes. But like the stuff isn't gonna be available forever. Like cool stuff is not gonna be available forever. Back to our whole point about like it's okay to pay a little bit more. Like sometimes it is, and I'm not advocating you to like FOMO and go out and buy boxes or whatever, but like so many people, dude, so many people messaged me when 151 was 50 a box. Oh yeah, bro. I'm gonna wait for it to get a little bit cheaper, but yeah, I'll be hitting you up for sure. I'm trying to pick up a ton, right? where are you now? You know what I mean? Like it just you get that every time, and it's like sometimes, man, like I really feel like you could potentially like it would be a really good piece of content. Very difficult to make because it would take some commitment, but it would be such a good piece of content if somebody that like kind of knows what they're doing in this, but maybe isn't like a professional or does this as a full-time business, if they cut themselves off from Pokemon YouTube or news channels or whatever for an entire year, you couldn't watch a single piece of Pokemon content, but still interact with the market. And I can almost guarantee you that that person is going to outperform like 95% of people watching videos every day. Because you don't need, like, if you're constantly tapped in, oh, well, this person said this and this person, it's like, dog, if you just kind of like follow your own instincts and do what, like, I bet that person would probably do better than like somebody that's watching stuff all the time. I really genuinely do.
Unless they're watching this podcast, we only feel this way except for about this podcast. So if you're watching this podcast, keep watching this podcast because we will lead you to the promised land. But everyone else, you could cut off. That's what he meant to say. Sorry.
Yeah, but I just like I don't know. Like just like if you like for boxes, I guess specifically is where I was going with that. Like if you were trying to buy a box or something and you just bought it based off what felt good to you versus like what people online are saying, like how often would you buy it at like a pretty good price 2 years down the line? Like look in retrospect, like looking back would be like, oh yeah, I bought it at a good price. If you didn't listen to any news or information at all and you just bought it because like you thought it was a cool or a card or a slab or whatever, I wonder how like that person would perform. I feel like when AI gets more advanced, we'll be able to like, okay, like create a model for and then we could see how, but like I genuinely feel that way. I really do, because I don't know, I just see this stuff every time. Like I remember when VMAX Climax got down to like $30 a box, and at that time that was the greatest set ever, right? Like that was, I can't remember what that ended up being in English. I think they kind of spread it out amongst like a few
across a bunch of trainer gallery sets.
Yeah, a bunch of trainer gallery stuff. But like in Japanese, like that set was so packed with like crazy trainer gallery, diddly doo dah, whatever. And like it was the best set ever at the time, but it got down to like $30 or whatever. And I remember even me, like, because Kai bought like a ton. He bought like 300 or 500 boxes or something like that. And at the time, we were all just like, oh, like, I don't know, man, or whatever. And I feel like even Kai maybe like sold a little bit early and like only made a little bit or broke even or something. But the boxes are at like 120 now. You know what I mean? And they were at, and even we who were like super deep in the Japanese were like, oh, I don't know, man. Like there's a lot, it's cheap, but it's like, dog, it was a good price. Like objectively, if you just tuned everything else out and we're just like, okay, VMAX Climax is a cool set. People like the cards in English too. The box is cheap at $30. I'm gonna buy it. How good would you have done? You know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. Like it'd be really, really interesting. And like I get it. It's fun to be like engaged and interact and talk to people and bounce ideas. Like all that is important and keeps people engaged and stuff like that. But yeah, it would just be like really interesting to see how like people will do. I can definitely say for my personal business, the less time I spend in like like I don't spend any time in Discord anymore, and that is like a major hack. Like if you're wondering why your business is not like taking off the way you want it and you're still spending time in Discord, that would be the number one thing I would suggest for like get out of Discord. Huge time sink. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of ranting
You
at this
use
point.
Discord very differently than I use Discord. When I have Discord as like an app on my phone, but I only really open it up when I see a notification on certain things that I like care about. And I have all my notifications silenced pretty much. So like I don't spend time I it's always open, but it's not like something I spend time on. Whereas I think certain people like a lot of people use Discord differently than I do, where they're spending time like doing things, playing games. I don't know what you do on Discord that's like more than reading a few lines of chat. Like I don't know how you can spend more time on it. So
Yeah, I just think like people. I mean, it's great for like networking, community, and all that kind of stuff. And people like want to make friends, and it
it's
was really
really
useful.
good for like the cardboard the cardboard hands like convention community. Like we talk about planning our shows. Like if it wasn't for the Discord for like show planning, for Collecticon, for like planning hotels, I would have to go to these shows and never split a room. I'd never be able to like carpool, and it saves so much time and money and effort, and it gives you more ability. So I mean, I think there are ways that can be done healthily, but I hear what you're saying. Like sometimes people get a little bit too into whatever they're doing, probably, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good tool to. I mean, like just as a product, like I think they're going public later this year, and I might put some bread down on them. But it's a
Wait,
great
Discord's
tool.
not public yet?
Well, yeah, the company, no, like the company's not like Reddit. Reddit just went public this year too, and Reddit is crushing it. That stock is really working right now. But Discord, like again, like I think it's a really good product. We're actually using Discord for like my team project for school or whatever, because it's like easy to send files and communicate that way. So it's like a great product, but like yeah, spending time in it is just like yikes, huge waste of time. But like during the pandemic, I will say great tool to like connect people, right? Like made friends and talked with people from all over the world. Like Kai's from Australia, Charvy's from New Zealand, Trainer Max is from like Sweden or something like that, right? And so like it was really cool. Like you could hop in a voice chat and talk to people from all over the world at any time for free. Like that's a pretty compelling product, right? And pretty cool for sure. But a lot of people arguing, a lot of opinions, a lot of just yeah, lot of
It's just
that too.
another
So
social media, basically.
yeah, exactly. It's just exactly like the
It's
same
just
way
a
you
more
shouldn't be spending.
segmented social media with more of
Yeah,
like a hyper fixated.
like hopping. It's like if you know something is contentious is going on in the Pokemon world, it's just as bad of an idea to hop on Discord as it would be if like hopping on Facebook at the day after the election. Like you know what you're gonna get. You know what I mean? Like you know you're gonna get a bunch of angry people slinging poop at each other, and I personally don't want to be like I don't want to be a part of that. Like that's like sticking the like messing with the hornet's nest or whatever. Like you just no, don't do it to your don't do it to yourself. So
I mean,
yeah.
I hear what Nick's saying, but don't be afraid. Come join my Discord. Our Discord's fantastic, and it has a use for at least like connecting people with their conventions and their local shows, and helping with carpools, helping with like case rentals. If you want, you have advice or anything about vending you need to hear, like we talk about all that. There's none of this like. There's a little bit of mudslinging, but it's all in good fun, between myself and the moderators mostly. So. Yeah, come join our Discord if you're having any trepidation towards others. There's not any of this like ridiculousness that he's talking about.
Oh, join the MetaZoo Discord. Join the MetaZoo
Do not
Discord.
join that Discord before
Join the
you join my
MetaZoo
Discord.
Discord. Yeah, join
No,
that
you want
MetaZoo
to waste
Discord,
your
baby.
time. That's where you go. Okay.
join.
Historically speaking, that's the case.
Well, I just have to shout it out there for Charlie and Basic Trainer. I saw that
I
I
should be
joined.
nicer to MetaZoo because Charlie may eventually come on the podcast one of these days if we play our cards right. Right. I better stop talking so much shit about MetaZoo, but I think he would appreciate the real talk, honestly.
I really liked the interview he did with Nick's Strength in Pokemon. Yeah, I think he answered all the questions really, really well. I think he did good. So I'm excited to see the future of the zoo. But yeah, I know Basic Trainer is just hyped right now. I got to hang out with met a Kai too a little bit over the weekend, which was cool because I haven't really got a whole lot of time to talk to him, but he got like second in the world, and just kind of hearing how like he navigated through everything, and like it's an interesting story. So I'm excited for part 2 of the zoo, baby. But that's
Part 2 of the zoo, baby.
part 2 of the zoo. Yeah, it's
oh my lord. Please.
Yeah, it might be kind of dark, but it'll be a fun ride nonetheless. So we'll see what happens. But
they got a good
other
team
than
of
that,
people working there. I can say that about it. They do have a good team of people working there. They're really trying.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
They do. But yeah, join Josh's Discord. Front Row Card Show is doing another show in January in Tacoma. So if you guys are in the area or traveling to the Pacific Northwest, stop by. And then in March, they're doing one in Portland.
And then
I think
San Diego. They're doing one in San Diego too next year.
Okay. Man, I used to like San Diego. There's some good food spots.
I love San Diego.
Little Italy has got some crazy food spots, dog. Like there's this one like hole in the wall spot that like it's like an Italian bodega, basically. Like it's a place that you would go to buy like gas station stuff, but the dude makes homemade cannolis. And if you ask for, oh dog, the cannolis are so fire.
I love San Diego. I was born in San Diego. You don't have to sell me on that. That's my hometown. So I'm definitely going to the Front Row Card Show in San Diego when they go down there for the first time. That's going to be amazing. Great Mexican food. Listen, if you've never been to California and you're considering coming to California, San Diego is the perfect city to come into. Because here's the thing. Everyone thinks about California as being like smelly, dirty, a lot of homeless people, traffic, overpriced, all this crap that's just, in my opinion, just not really the complete story about what California actually has to offer. San Diego is like the best foot forward for what California can offer for people who are just coming in to experience it. Because, like, yeah, it's overpriced. I don't think overpriced is the right word for it. It's just a little bit more expensive than what you would want it to be, because what you're getting in San Diego is the perfect weather in the entire country. 70 to 75 degrees year round. You're getting a beach within like 10 minutes drive in any direction. You're getting some of the best food as far as like Mexican food is concerned in the entire country right there along the border, with an emphasis on the fresh seafood right from the coast, and then the authentic Mexican food from right across the border, and that fusion that happens with that beauty that when it comes to America, and you kind of get that like that fusion of food, that love that happens, and you're getting just great like people. The people are just chill. They're like board shorts and like Hawaiian t-shirt and sunglass type people in San Diego. They're like the most laid back. Don't think of like LA people who are like all uptight and like all about their fashion and money and in a rush, and they don't care about their average. They really don't care, it seems like, about what's going on. San Diego people are like chill and nice and like the best people. So like, go to San Diego, check it out, go to the Front Row Card Show. I will be there, and enjoy California for what it is. Best it has to offer. There is also a military base there in San Diego. So there is I think that there's a little bit of a military presence as well. Yeah.
Yeah, San Diego's got some good food for sure. Like downtown San Diego, like right on Kettner, that street, there's like, it's just straight restaurants, and there's some good food there for sure. So.
Even the 24-hour Mexican food joints that are open like round the clock are delicious. Like, it's just like, the weather is great. There's so many card shops down there. I'm from that area, and like I grew up with card shops in every little town in San Diego. Like every suburb had its own card shop. I had favorite card shops from there, and now it's grown, and the area is like a hub. That's where Pat Flynn's from, and he has a new card shop in every one of his videos he features he drives to. It's like San Diego is low-key one of the best places in the U.S. for like trading cards, in my opinion. And it doesn't get enough love. It's like it's roped into LA, and San Diego and LA are so different from each other. They're like the most different you could possibly imagine, and they're like within 2 hours of each other. It's wild.
Yeah, very very different vibe for sure. Like especially like West Hollywood is a lot different than San Diego. Like West Hollywood, it's like more packed too. Like San
Yeah.
Diego, I mean California is more people, but like San Diego, you can still do stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's not like so
You can
overwhelming.
miss me with that LA vibe, but with the San Diego vibe, I'm there. I'm there every time. Like I'm chilling. So totally different, much better.
Fair enough. All right.
Yeah, so
Well,
Collecticon, if you're listening, Collecticon, if you made it to the end of this and you're somehow still here and I haven't chased you away, what the fuck are you doing not giving us a better selection of shows on the West Coast? One show in Los Angeles, you're going to get tore into here. One show in Los Angeles in the entire year is all you're giving us? Get fucked. I might not even come to that show.
did they release the new schedule?
They released the schedule, like last month, but because it's just a shitty schedule of like
on
all
their
East Coast
website?
shows that nobody cares about on the West Coast, you're not going to hear me talk about it because they literally snubbed us so bad. I don't even think I want to say the words Collecticon on this podcast anymore. That's how mad I am at them.
Is it on their
Raising
website?
the table prices. Get out of here.
Is it on their website? I can't find it on their website.
In the Collecticon Discord, shout out to not my Discord. Well, it's in my Discord too, actually. No, yeah, go to my Discord. All right, you can go to the Collecticon Discord if you want, but my Discord is in the Collecticon section of it. I actually put the new schedule up there. If anyone wants to see the 18 shows they announced, it's up there. Probably scroll up a little bit in the Collecticon chatter, because that's where it was posted. Front row cards on the pod. We're going to have to get back to you on that one. We want to have them on, but we have to get the right people. So we're going to try to get the British lady on whenever she can, potentially. We just have to kind of work out scheduling and stuff. But she's always been really, really sweet, and she said she wanted to come on. So she'll probably be the one when she finally does.
The British lady or the other one?
The British lady.
Yeah.
The other lady's really nice, too. Don't get me wrong. She's super nice. So she may end up coming on also. But the British lady is the one who really expressed like interest.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be down. That'd be cool.
And then there's a third guy who has zero interest whatsoever of coming on because he's literally all sports. So we're gonna probably get the British lady though, if I would say one of them.
Yeah, she's funny. She's got like a very commanding presence too. Like when she gets on the mic and starts talking. All right, vendors, today we're going to have a fantastic show. Just a reminder, do not pack up early. Do not pack up early because it doesn't
will find you.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, but you know, shouts out to the, I think her name's Angela. Shouts out to you, Angela. No hate. It's all love.
She's great. Like I honestly, one of my biggest pet peeves at shows is when vendors like start packing up because it's a little slower on Sunday and they leave at like 2:00 and then at like from 2 to 5 it's empty. Biggest pet peeve of my life as a vendor. I hate it because it makes people walk in the room, see the empty tables, and then just turn around and walk out. They don't even come around and look. So like it's very discouraging. So I get it. But it is I love the front row card show and the way they run the whole shows. I think they're very professional and it's just so funny how different they are from the Collecticon people. So different. Like the Collecticon people, I hate to say it feels like they don't give a shit. They just don't care. You don't hear they're walking around, but you don't hear nothing about what's going. Maybe it's too big for them to care. I don't know. But like every time you hear the front row people that come around, they're on the loudspeakers, they're literally dictating what to do, how to load in, they're telling you your section, they're getting IDs, they're checking every single person's photo ID, making sure they have a badge. They are on it with security, at least when they check in and everything. So I mean, shout out to them for doing a great job. I can't say enough good things about them. And get on your shit, Collecticon. That's all I gotta say. Be better, do better.
Yeah,
That's what I say about that.
Basic Trainer sent me the schedule for Collecticon on Instagram, and it's kind of dark, honestly.
Yeah, like I could skip almost every single one of those besides 2 to 3 of them, and I mean they're just raising the prices. Like, listen, Collecticon, hire me. Give me money. You don't want me to rail against you and criticize these very valid points that
you have to provide value for them to hire. You can't just say, hire me so I won't yell at
I
you.
will turn your show around. I will turn your show around. You give me a certain amount of money. I'll give you a consultation. I'll even come to each of your shows. I don't care. I think you once upon a time you had a great thing going, and now you just let it fall to the wayside, and you're letting your reputation sort of just kind of, I wouldn't say carry it, but that's where we're at. So I don't know. I'd love to say better things about it.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Collecticon's #1 goal is to make money selling tickets and selling tables. So they do not care. And tables are more expensive because people want to vend. So it's like, yeah, of course, tables are more. It's a supply and demand thing, dude. It sucks, but it is what it is. You want to get that prime spot. It's like living in California. It's pay to play. That's all it is.
Right, and there's zero demand from me. That's all I'm saying. One of the biggest vendors in the space who goes to all these parties. I go to every single card show I can, and I'm just with Collecticon, that's not a good sign. It's really not. So anyway, that's my selling point. I would love to be on the team Collecticon. I'm sure after hearing all that, you just think I'm a bubbling wealth of positivity. But if you actually listen, then you'd probably reach out to me because I have a lot of really good ideas that you could probably benefit from, but I guarantee they won't. So love to hear it one way or the other, and tell me down below in the comments if I'm cooked or if I'm cooking. But I don't know. You got anything else to say, Nick? I'm getting hungry. We're starting to see the hanger come out.
Yeah, I gotta go eat. I feel like I've been hangry for 3 hours. So
I mean, talking to me for any certain amount of time will definitely get that there. So I totally understand it.
It's just been a week.
I want to say for the record, Nick tried to kill me over the weekend with rich foods. He attempted to it was an assassination on my character by attempting to twice take me to the richest, most cream-driven, butter-driven, heavy meats and steaks and seafoods. Twice in a row, he tried killing me. So luckily, I know myself, and I know that I would get gout if I were to go to this place twice in a row.
What did we get the first night? We got it was the halibut with the shishito, and then a parsnip puree or something, or dill.
That was delicious. Anyway, shout out to El Gaucho. That place is delicious that you took me to. That's the spot that we're talking about. If you're ever in Seattle, Tacoma area, El Gaucho is that's the spot. But you cannot eat there every night of the week, and don't let Nick take you there more than once, twice, 3 times.
If you don't collect. If you don't collect, you got El Gaucho money to eat good. That's what I like spending my money on. If you collect,
you got to eat some Korean barbecue sometimes. You got to eat some salad, some poke, some ramen, a little bit.
They have a very nice tableside Caesar. So if you're in dire
you got to get the tableside Caesar. Sure, yeah, for sure.
Tableside Caesar, baby, freshly.
Okay, one of these days we're gonna do another food-based episode. Maybe in the Christmas one, we'll do a top Christmas food.
Nah, bro, we're going back there in January. We gotta get some footage of the meal. I hate being that person. I never take photos or what, but we gotta take some videos for content to flex for the gram.
We should actually probably do video. Okay, so next time we'll take videos so you guys can actually see. But anyway, if you guys stayed this long, we really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. I guess next week we'll be on Nick's channel, so keep an eye out for that. I mean, we're booming, so you never know when you'll see another episode pop up.
Next week is Thanksgiving, so
not next week then. Never mind. It probably maybe I don't know. What are you doing next week? I'd be down for a pre-Thanksgiving. I'm staying home, so
yeah. We'll see what I got a lot of stuff with school that I gotta. Oh man, I'm so ready for school to be done. I am so ready for school to be done. But I have a bunch of stuff I have to do with the team to wrap up for the final project. So we'll see. But it would have to be
Thanksgiving projects. Yikes.
Yeah, it's dark, dude. In this one class, we have this capstone project all of a sudden that got announced yesterday, and we have 2 weeks left of school, and it's just all right, so
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm ready to be done. I'm only going to take one class next quarter, and it's probably how it's going to be moving forward. So hopefully I'll be a little bit nicer moving forward. So yeah,
Well,
that's
hopefully
the
not
hope.
that much nicer. The podcast, it survives on our interactions together as they are. So, I mean, we can't be too agreeable here.
That's true. That's true. But I don't know.
Maybe we
I
gotta get you
gotta
back in school eventually. If you ever go soft on me, we're gonna just get you signed up for another semester.
yeah, when the market goes to zero, I'll be back.
Yeah, that'll be the day. That'll be the day right there.
I'll be back. But all right, everybody. That's pretty much it. We'll see you guys maybe next week. If not, happy holidays. Eat some good Thanksgiving food. Have a good holiday, and we'll see you after the fact. So
Join the Discord. Come see us at the shows and talk about and post your local shows down below in the comments or the link down below. All right, see you guys.